Big show today on Ship Chasing. Our friend Ben Gretch is back in the Ship Chasing saddle, and we are going to catch up on all things fantasy from this summer with a focus on the outliers we should chase in fantasy. Gretch has been doing a lot of great writing on this over on his Substack. Who are the guys who maybe the projection math doesn't quite add up to get you there, just pure value-wise, but could still break fantasy? That's what we're going to talk about today. And naturally, it will include some conversations about Keaton Mitchell. I'm Pete with Gretch, with Davis, with Jacob, and Pat. This is Ship Chasing. Let's do it. Pat Fryer Helmo.
This is why I'm hot.
Anita Hanjob.
Fix your sight.
Jamar. Alpha play chase. Are you kidding me? Kadarius Toney?
You can't handle the heat.
Pete, it looks like we're finally at this point here, right?
All right, Ben Gretch back on Ship Chasing. Look at this 5-person panel. It feels like we're about to do round one of the NFL draft with this crew here. Gretch, long time no see. How you been, man?
Good. I'm bummed I'm going to be missing the Ship Chasing meetup this coming weekend. I just got back from a long trip to the East Coast where I went to the Fantasy Football Expo for a couple days, then flew over to New York to see some buddies for a few more days. Traveled back yesterday, so I'm on the tired side of a long trip, but I know you guys are all ready to go to Austin this coming weekend, which is, I mean, that's always a blast. I got to get back next year. It's already on it's a 1-year hiatus. It's already on the calendar for next year.
Nice. Well, that's the thing. I mean, we got Jacob and Pat will be there with me. Gretch was there last year. I think Davis would have come if he wasn't going to Austin the following week. So next year I'll have to coordinate with Big Flock and make sure that our weekends don't overlap.
Well, my son will be older next year and a little bit more manageable. I'm hoping that's how that goes. But
I was gonna say I think it's less Big Flock and more Big Davis's wife.
that would be true. More or Big Davis, big Patrick Xavier is really who you have to speak with. So get in touch. If
anything, he needs to be bigger. That's sort of part of the problem.
Yeah. If he was more self-sustaining, it would be a little easier.
Well, awesome. Yeah, Gretch, excited to touch base. Any good, I asked Kitchen this on the Swolecast yesterday. Any good stories from the expo, or does that have to stay in Canton?
Man, I'm trying to remember. It was fun to talk to Kitchen. It was fun to see him and JJ and Harmon and
does David look like he's been doing low grade testosterone? Like does he look, is he glowing? Do his shoulders look big?
I didn't notice that, but I did. There was a conversation at one point, I believe, that I kind of broke off from because I was like, this is not my conversation about supplement peptides. I think we're coming up. I can't recall all of it. A lot of really cool people though. The footballers were there. A lot of people from Football Guys. I got to meet Ian Harditz and Chris Allen, and I was with Rich Rebar for most of the weekend. He picked me up from the airport, and he lives in Cleveland, and they have a house. Chris and Ian and Rich and Daigle was there, and they get it every year. And I crashed in their place with them, and it was fun. I was only there one night, but we went hard. We played poker after all the event until like 4 a.m. So it was there was plenty of memories for that one night.
How are we not starting the show Stribling about Stribling though? Like I just moved Stribling to 140 in my rankings.
The Outliers.
I bet I'm too low. I bet I'm too low. He's
going to be an outlier. Like,
hey Gretch, how you been? I'm good, Davis. Can we talk about how I just moved Deshaun's dribbling to 140 in my rankings?
Hey, it's a fantasy football program. The time to do niceties, boys. Like the time to chit chat. Like even ADP chasing, we got to get for real. It's fucking August.
It's a Mark Wahlberg movie, right? Where they like need a singer and they like point to someone in the crowd like you, and they like comes up and he's awesome. Like that is Deshaun Stribling. Like talk about an outlier. The 49ers just picked this guy out of the crowd. He's gonna be their starting receiver this year.
Now, unfortunately, he has to be good, so that's probably the one hold up. But
he was awesome in the movie, Jacob. Okay,
that's right. Yeah, so what? We have Ricky Pearsall now dealing with knee soreness, and it
sounds
was like
he might miss the whole year.
Concern. Yeah, that report sounded extremely bearish. Did they become a contender to try to reach out to a
I think they do.
I probably got to consider it. Debo
you
makes
go
the most
close
sense,
to
doesn't
home
he?
here.
He
I think
just-
you just bring back
Debo
old
back.
friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
I was-
stoked that nobody has said the words Christian Kirk anywhere on my timeline or
hurt.
on this
He's hurt.
podcast.
He's
hurt.
already hurt.
He's also hurt.
Oh, I didn't even hear that. He's not important enough for me to care.
He has a calf strain.
No, Gretch,
That's-
you
so that's part of the
actually make
issue,
a
like,
great
they-
point,
They're
which
out
is
on-
that it's assumed. It's assumed he's hurt.
Yeah,
that's part of the
he's just
issue. Like,
bad.
if Pearsall's out long term and Kirk is done, then I mean, obviously it's a great opportunity for Stribling that he won't take advantage of. But they also probably do have to bring in someone.
Are you guys live or is this a premiere?
All right, wait.
All the ship chasing live.
What
premieres.
time zone are you
Premiere,
in?
dude. We knew you were gonna ask this, and we brought it up an hour ago.
Now
It's 11 a.m. where I am. I mean, it's a
Same
Wednesday.
here.
Martin
How
lives in
blazed can you be?
SoCal too, so yeah.
Well,
all right, let me toss this one out. Kyle Shanahan goes through a traumatic life event, very serious
did.
car crash that he apparently is at fault for. He gets to rethink everything about life. In the spirit of forgiveness,
I know where this is going.
Brandon
That's
Ayuk
not-
returns.
not a Brandon Ayuk
returns.
situation.
No, I think that's
Come on,
not
man.
happening. I think there's actually a better chance Stribling is good at football than that.
Stribling's gonna work in Shanahan's offense. I didn't know Jacob
think
was
so
so
too,
anti-Stribling, man.
No,
the worst
wait. So,
prospect
what is
I've
your
ever
Stribling
seen.
take? Because we've
He's-
talked about Stribling nonstop.
What's my Stribling take? I
No,
think he's a terrible.
Gretch,
I know, you
get
are-
out of
we-
here, Jacob.
Jacob,
We don't care
come
about
on.
your
I'm very
Stribling
familiar with your
take.
take, and that people are familiar with mine too. What's Gretch's?
How is he the worst prospect you've ever? That's fascinating to me. Like I mean, it's a 5-year college stint, and he wasn't that productive. But like when you break things down, like his yak was good. He's got the good ball in hand. He's a physical guy. They talk about the run blocking, the new Juwan Jennings thing, and you have the Kyle Shanahan thing of like, yeah, I mean, on 31 other teams, I'd be way less interested. But like the ball in hand yak stuff plays up. I mean, this is like, yeah, it's a huge reach that they took him where they did. He's not a great prospect, but I think if you fixate on the huge reach element, then you're overlooking some real possibility. Like, I think he's probably a good fit for the offense that he's in.
Well, and doesn't
Thank
it
you,
just
Gretch.
it reduces so much risk of like, is this guy going to be able to get on the field? Because Christian Kirk is going to handle training camp in preseason probably better than a raw rookie. You remove him, and then it's like Pearsall. I mean, like they're going to have no choice to put him on the field.
Well, he's also
Hard not
been
to
like, my thing with Stribling in part is that like he probably is not going to be very good in terms of like the long-term ceiling, and I think that's part of the reach. But he did have some interesting elements of his profile, like including yak, and I think it has been encouraging to hear that Brock Purdy's been impressed, the coaches have been impressed with what he's doing in terms of like basically knowing where to be, knowing the playbook, running the right routes and all that. Yeah, baller. You're right, but like, do I think that like he's going to go too high next year? Yeah, probably. I probably fade him when people get excited about him.
It's such a
becoming
Xavier
superstar.
Leggett situation. Pat.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. No, Kelvin Benjamin, right? Where we all
Kelvin
knew he was
Benjamin.
ass. Yeah.
Right. But why am I not allowed to take him in the 170s and make money? I think I should be allowed to do that.
Well,
The
he's
funny
not going to
part-
go in the 170s now with Pearsall.
Well, he was.
out.
Why? He certainly
Well,
was,
Pearsall was available 2 days ago.
The funny part about me not realizing how down Jacob was on this, guys, I'm just checking it on my phone right now. I made Jacob draft him in our Insiders. The Kitchen runs this dynasty league that I brought Jacob on as a co-manager. I think Davis won it last year. He's in that league.
That
We
is
have
true.
Fact check,
Stribling
on that
truth.
team, Davis.
I mean, I have multiple
I'm
shares of this
fucked
guy in
now.
Dynasty.
I'm
Like
fucked now,
he
man.
goes. I mean, Dynasty players were way lower on this guy than like YouTube commenters. So like, I have Stribling shares in Dynasty at like the 2-3 turn of rookie drafts.
Here's a little.
And I would
subtext.
not have taken him where we took him on a solo team, but like,
Who do you have
I'm
more
willing to
disdain
give
for,
Gretch his
dynasty
guy.
players or YouTube commenters?
No, I like Dynasty players. Dynasty players are with me on DeJohn Stribling. Those are my people.
When someone is mad on one of these programs, they will always invoke the YouTube commenters. There's no one who eats it worse than the YouTube commenters. By the way, the 49ers are going to feel like geniuses for their awful draft selections of Stribling and Caleb Black because Jordan James also broke his ribs today. So we are going to
more
have
like geniuses if they just took good players and then they
Well,
have to rely on.
the way that people interpret football is through a fantasy football lens mostly, and they're going to be like, wow, look, Caleb Black 42 yards in his first NFL game. Everyone was laughing at him.
But like
Is
these
anyone
guys
gonna be
still have
healthy
to
on
hit
this
a
team?
minimum threshold. Like I get that we play a probabilistic game. Maybe you guys see more in the prospect profile than I do. I made a commitment to myself after like Worthy a couple years ago
Golden
and
Worthy.
Golden last year. Like I'm just not doing this anymore where I capitulate
this isn't
on
that.
prospects that
The
I have a high
prices
degree
are
of
so
conviction on.
different.
It's not
Well, the
the
price
same
is going to
thing.
be like 120 in a week.
I know,
if
but
Pearsall's out for the year.
Right, but he like I have him on last call. Like,
Higher.
I got him in
Sure,
the 200s
if you-
in our
okay.
original game. Like
But
then
you
he's
can
been sitting in the
acknowledge that
180s
Pearsall
and
missing the
170s.
entire season is like an unforeseeable event. Like I'm saying, like in the scenario that Pearsall is, out for the whole year and Stribling's still going at 170. Like yeah, obviously it'd be a smash.
But to me, this has always been a lot more. It's a lot more similar to Rashi Rice, who I thought was not a particularly good prospect.
That's actually such a good fucking comp, Crane.
didn't-
That's
didn't
why,
really-
dude, that's why
I
Crane
was
is
in
the,
on Rice
the
that
the
year.
best.
I think that was a
Well,
different situation.
Rice was quite a bit more expensive
prospect.
than Stribling has been to date, and I agree with. While I do agree with you, of course, that Ricky Pearsall. The bet was never that like he's going to replace Ricky Pearsall, because Pearsall got hurt. But it's like he's going to find his way to playing time over the course of the season, and he's in a great offense, and he does something that will fit well in the offense, and it's basically free. And even with Rice was like a 12th or 13th round pick, I believe. Obviously, he was a big hit there, but to me, I'm not doing the Golden thing. Golden ended up costing a 5th or 6th round pick by the end of the season last year, and at his least expensive post draft, he was still like in the top 100. So it is a price thing. It's obviously now we're going to have a different price conversation, and I don't expect to be as bullish on Stribling because you start to have a lot more risk when the price rises.
Hey, I'll do the Davis Maddock bit for everyone right now, where I way overreact to the thing that just happened. Assume Pearsall out for the year. Stribling.
They'll sign someone.
Stribling
I really
or Concepcion.
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 All right, you guys enjoy your fucking wide receiver 3 on the Browns while I'm Stribling about Stribling, brother.
Davis, like you hated this guy more than I did. We podcasted about this guy together before the
listen,
draft. And you
don't-
were like, this is the worst
don't
wide
get
receiver
comfy.
prospect in the world.
If
You
Davis-
guys
I gotta do-
guy.
I gotta do my Gretch bit now, which is that every player is a delicate flower, and it's this. Obviously, I think Jacob's one of the sharpest dudes in the entire industry, and we just launched a podcast, huge tie-in here. But the idea that you're not going to draft this guy because of what happened with Xavier Worthy and Matthew Golden is absurd to me, or even like the Rasheed Rice. He's a different player than these guys. Every single situation is different. The comps and the situational stuff that we do, I just think is so wrong sometimes. And also
It helps you think through it, though, Ben. Like
I don't
like,
even
I
know
think-
who Matthew
like-
Golden and Xavier Worthy are. How do you guys know who they are? They're like 22 years
Ben.
old.
Let's go, dude. We need Ben on the program full time again. I fucking love it. Let's go.
Well, you guys have already buried Xavier Worthy. He's got a fucking tombstone.
No,
No,
I'm not
I'm
buried.
taking a bunch of
they
Xavier
were
Worthy
not
this
good
year.
rookie picks in best ball.
He was a 5th round pick.
But if
Across
his
the fifth round
trajectory
pick.
winds up being a productive NFL player, we'll look back on it like, his rookie year was, and his second year were a little bit like, and even his rookie year ended very strongly through the postseason. He had 8 straight games at the end of the year. At the end of his rookie year, 4 in the regular season, 4 in the postseason, where he had, I think, 5+ catches and like was way more consistently used and all that stuff. Sean famously was talking about it last offseason that he was better at the end of his rookie year than Rasheed Rice was at the end of his. Because everyone was comparing Xavier and Rice last year, and then Worthy gets hurt last year. But Golden's whole thing, I mean, they've cleared the decks for Golden to be like the way. You want to talk about
I'm interested in
unprojectable
Golden
stuff?
this
Like
year.
I put Golden on my list for this show topic. I wrote down a couple names.
I think he's talking about Golden as a rookie season. We're
I'm interested in
comparing
Golden
to
this
rookies.
season. I'm
Right,
very
but my
in on
point
Golden this
is,
season.
if we don't, the rookie season is finalized. My point is, it may not be something about his actual prospect profile that tells you why he was bad in his rookie year, as much as like what the offense was, etc. If you assume that Golden goes on to be a good NFL player, which he may not, he may suck,
Which I'm not
and
assuming.
then my point would be wrong. But assume that he goes on and has 80 catches this year. Would you still be making that same point next offseason about Golden's rookie year, or would you be like, yeah, we know that his rookie year was a little bit weird relative to what he actually is as a player? You know what I mean? Like we would talk about it way differently.
To some extent, I get your point, but I would also stribulate that. Jesus,
Well done.
thanks.
Just absolute dunked on that right there. That was
I would
fantastic.
stribulate that with prospects that I think are really rough and like really rough. I mean, I can get into the number stuff, but like This is a guy who's a 5-year college player who didn't hit a 20% targets per route run on an Ole Miss team that had one of the best quarterbacks in college football and a wide receiver room otherwise completely devoid of talent, had a really high contested target rate. His uncontested targets per route run is under 0.15. That's like brutal. And that would be brutal if this was a 3-year early declare. For a 5-year player, I find that completely unacceptable. But for a player that I think is this low level of a prospect, like, yeah, it would surprise me if he's ever a particularly good NFL player. It would surprise me less if he becomes a good NFL player over time, because we're talking about a athletic guy with some yak skills who I think is clearly a long way away in other respects. And if you're telling me he eventually develops into something where that athleticism converts into more translatable receiving skills in year 3 or year 4, like, I can buy that more easily than I can buy this guy goes from getting outproduced by UDFAs throughout his college career to then just steps on and he's like a go-to guy year 1. That would
You
be
talking
really
about
shocking to
Stribling?
me. Yeah.
You said he never had a 20% targets per route run?
No, he didn't last year. He had one I think at Oklahoma State.
Both years at Oklahoma State. Well, he only played 4 games the 1 year, but he had a really high targets per route run his last year at Oklahoma State at a really high 8 out of 14.7. He had this, like, I have the weighted targets per route run metric. He had a massive weighted targets per route run in 2024. He had over 800 yards both of his final 2 years in different schools, and then 600 and 400 his first 2 years at Washington State way back when. Like, raw numbers, etc. You can get into issues with that stuff. But it's like this guy ran a lot of routes over the 5 years. He did play across 3 different offenses. He did have production across 3 different offenses. I don't think he's
I don't think there's really anything in his prospect profile to point out him being like someone that we think is quite good or a quite good prospect. Sure. But it's also a situation where you kind of have to feel really, really good about our ability to predict how collegiate stats go into the NFL, because
I do feel pretty good about that.
I just don't know if you can find a situation that is more open for production. Not even saying good, but just like he just gets the production. Here's a good analog. Same team, same system. Dante Pettis, very bad prospect, very bad NFL player, but he went on that insane run because he gets to get the Shanahan bullshit with the yak. I believe Pettis led the NFL in yards after catch per reception, or maybe it was cumulative yak after he got in the starting lineup. I see no reason that Stribling can't have a Dante Pettis style run out where he probably is not long for the NFL, because I agree with Jacob's analysis.
Juwan Jennings wasn't a good prospect and had a really productive season a couple of years
ago.
In year 5 though.
Yeah, but that's the first time he ever started.
His career doesn't have to take the exact same trajectory as Juwan Jennings. You're limiting yourself to, it's too much pattern matching. You're limiting yourself to one data.
I think it's a general take that if there's a prospect that I have very little faith in and I don't think has demonstrated strong ability, I think that if they are ever going to succeed, that I think it's more likely they do that later in their career.
I don't think that's true.
I just see this guy as being so far away from being what he needs to be.
And there's been stuff written about that, like Rotoviz, was it Sean, I think, actually, that wrote about the round 1 guys, and he's damn near round
Sean,
1 guy.
I was gonna say this.
They actually produce earlier in their career, round 2 as well. It's if the guys who produce later in their careers are typically later draft capital guys that have to earn their way onto the field. At the risk of losing Ben here, I like the Dante Pettis comp. I'd throw out Van Jefferson, who had a productive second season. He wasn't anything insane, but he had 50 receptions for 802 yards and
productive second season.
He did. He scored almost 10 fantasy points per game. Like, you're looking at a guy who you can get for free, and his path to playing time is more apparent right away than Jefferson's was. They're going to get these guys that they spent high-end capital on the field early. That's part of the reason that I like Stribling, is that I'm not going to have to sit and wait and find out 5 years from now if he can play. He probably can't play, but I'll find out this year probably.
And there was some chance, for best ball, that he wouldn't have gotten onto the field because, maybe they could have pieced it together with Christian Kirk or whatever. Not happening now. Now I expect him to be 70% routes week 1 from the jump.
Yeah, I mean, again, they might sign someone, but it certainly looks that way now.
I just want to
talk
bash
a
on
little
Van
bit-
Jefferson's second season. Can we do that?
I want to talk about Matthew Golden because I do think that's a really interesting one, and I want to hear Gretch's take because Gretch talks to about not overly, fitting or pattern matching. I think one of the things that's so interesting about Golden is like what the team keeps signaling to us with their actions of letting Dobbs and Wicks go. And they've already come out all of the preseason era, training camp, OTA stuff. It's like Golden is in 2 wide receiver sets. Like we expect big things from this guy. This isn't like the Bills doing the slow fade with Keon Coleman and being like, we're done with you. They were like, we're going to fucking make this happen with Golden. So how do you feel about that, Gretch, coupled with what he did last year?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm seeing. His best game of the year was in the playoff game, and they had some really bullish quotes on that early in the offseason. He actually looked genuinely good late last year. His yards per target wound up strong. I always break up, yards per out run to targets per out and yards per target. The 2 major concerns are he didn't run a lot of routes for a first-round receiver, which Corain was just talking about. It was Siegel's research, and it's great work, and I always try to keep it in mind that it's a lot easier for a first-round pick to get on the field immediately and to play early. It's a lot harder for late-round guys to earn that role, and sometimes they have to earn it over multiple years. I would describe that as what Jacoby Myers had to do in his early career in New England. He had to basically re-earn the role the year after his breakout role year, and then like halfway through the year, he had another great like second half to a season. Jalen Coker, somewhat similar, although he was injured in year 2, coming off an injury. But like their rookie years 2 years ago, Xavier Legette got 10 targets week 1, I think it was, or like 10 targets by week 3 or 4, and maybe it was like 7 week 1. A couple of the first couple games of the year, he had like heavy volume. They were trying to get Xavier Legette going because they invested a first-round pick on him. Jalen Coker was this UDFA that late in the year was better than Legette as he worked his way into that. Golden, obviously a first-round pick who did not run enough routes, is a real concern. But I do think you can still contextualize things. I think there's a couple important things in 2026. One, I think the way that defenses are way more complex now and offenses are going to way more sub-packages. We've seen – I wrote a piece earlier that maybe it's called something like maybe it's more difficult for rookies these days or something. And it was sort of a the stuff about Travion Henderson being a good pass blocker and then all of a sudden he can't pass block in the NFL. Defensive fronts have been really challenging for even offensive lines. There was stuff that like Nate Tice was doing during the year last year that full slides and some of the like protection answers they have were not working as well in 2025. That was like the next evolution of defenses, that the muddled fronts and the stand-up 5-man defensive lines were creating pressure in different ways that Will Campbell, top 10, offensive lineman, left tackle, ended up getting absolutely abused in the Super Bowl, and there was like concerns about him. And maybe the transition from college to the NFL right now with with the short arms, but maybe it's not about the arms for him. Maybe it truly is right now that it's the transition from college to the NFL, and what defenses are able to do is a lot harder than people realize. You look at even some of the guys like I'm pretty into Trey Harris this year. They used him really like situationally down the stretch. They would use him in the 1 wide receiver sets when they went to 13 personnel, but then they weren't using him in the multi wide receiver packages. It was obviously Ladd and Quentin Johnston and Keenan Allen, even if they went to 3 receivers, but they were trying to get Harris into a role, but like a very specific role. We want you to do the 13 personnel, be our 1 wide receiver. You're a good blocker, and then we'll throw to you some off of that. And I think that was something you saw in some other spots. I think that was some an element of Travion Henderson's struggles. I think that's some of what you saw with Bashal Tootin, even though the Jags have signified, look, we don't have long-term concerns about Tootin. We're going to let Travis Etienne walk, and we're going to transition to where we think he's going to be.
Tootin would be a second-round pick if they just did slightly different play calling in that playoff game. Like, literally, 3 different play calls. Bashal Tootin would be going ahead of Chase Brown right now.
Anyway. Yeah, no, he had a really tough rookie year, and he's still going incredibly high because they're signaling those things. So anyway, just to circle back to Golden before making it a huge macro point, going too far with other examples. I do think number one, the Packers have a history. Like this is a little bit of pattern matching too, but they have a history, and they do still kind of run things similarly to how they always have. They like to home grow talent. They talked about how they don't do a lot of free agency or outside acquisitions in major ways over the years. They tend to let guys walk. They tend to draft again and try to build from within. Devontae Adams needed to kind of work his way into the field the first couple years and wasn't great the first couple years. Jordy Nelson before him. There are other examples with the Packers. And then number 2 is just what they had on the roster last year, which was a deep wide receiver room. They wanted more out of Golden, but by the end of the year, they were getting a lot out of Christian Watson, and the ways that their offense was working was fine. I mean, Romeo Dobbs has always been good, but the signal to me of letting Dobbs and Wicks go, Tucker Kraft's big stat was like the yards after catch per reception. I think he was over 12 per reception last year. He's a very low ADOT catch and run tight end. Jayden Reed has a more average ADOT, but it's like also a lot of manufactured stuff around the line of scrimmage and then a lot of deep stuff. He actually gets a decent amount of deep targets for a smaller dude. And so you're not talking about a lot of these like 10-yard in-breaking routes or, intermediate throws. Christian Watson, obviously really high ADOT guy. Maybe his ADOT comes down after the big contract. I'm a little skeptical of that. I'm wondering, the reason Dobbs has been this guy the last few years who has led the team in routes and led the team in a lot of the volume has been the ability to operate at that intermediate range and do these things. And now Wicks was probably the next guy, and they let both those guys go. And I have a big question. When I went through the projection process, I do a lot of stuff like with ADOT and depth and trying to figure out where the targets are going to go. It's like, who's going to run these routes? And I really do think, to Pete's point, even beyond the surface level stuff where they've been really optimistic about Golden, the specific receivers that they allowed to walk and the shape of their passing game going forward really lends itself to a belief that they have a plan for Matthew Golden to do a lot of that stuff, to do a lot of the in-breaking routes and the 10-yard intermediate stuff, to basically be the new Dobbs, which I know he's a burner. He's a really fast dude. You can get the vertical stuff out of him as well, but he's less established in the role in that offense than those other guys that I just named, Watson, Reed, etc. I'll be surprised if those other guys' roles change that dramatically at this stage. Golden developing in that direction and being that guy seems very logical. So, I mean, yeah.
This is the
Browns
miss.
game. He let him out of bounds.
No.
And then there's the Commanders game.
This is one miss for what would have been a 99-yard touchdown. Here's another one.
Yeah, this is the Commanders game.
These are two 90-yard touchdowns. 90-plus.
Then there was one
touchdowns.
earlier in the Commanders game that would have been about a 50-yard TD where he burned his corner and Love underthrew it, and the corner got back into the play and dove and tipped it away. This one, he catches this ball, but it's leading him way over the outside shoulder.
It's a horrible throw.
It was a super windy game. This was the low-scoring game they lost at Cleveland. But I've written about these and stealing signals. There was multiple big plays, and that's another reason why I'm actually a little bit optimistic on Golden is he still managed to have a pretty good yards per target, despite not getting boosted by huge plays that were there on his end.
Just route run wasn't actually that bad.
If he scored either of those, we're not doing the whole discourse.
You're right.
There's
he
no
would have been his efficiency would look way better. People would be like, look how good his per route run stuff is. All that. They'd be talking about him like Van Jefferson. Remember when he had 365-yard catches in his second year and they did nothing else the rest of his career?
By the way,
I pulled this up. Van Jefferson had a 25% advance rate in that second season. If Stribling is Deshaun, if Deshaun Stribling is Van Jefferson, we win. This is why he's been such a smash. I'm like, I win if he's Van Jefferson.
He's got to have 365-yard catches to do that, though, Pat.
Well, Pat, give the counter, because I do feel like you guys are low on him, right? In the leg up ranks. I mean, when I draft with you, I don't think we've ever gotten suggested Golden with the sidekick.
We are low on him. Yeah, my thing with Golden, I don't necessarily disagree about any of the kind of the initial plan for Golden of like what type of routes he might be tasked with in the early part of the season, and what they'd like him to grow into. I think it's pretty disappointing that as a first round pick, he did not play very much. And you can kind of, talk about why that was, and they had other guys stepping up, but
that's what the Packers do, though.
That is pretty not this. They had him as like a reserve basically, and that's
they started the season playing a lot, and then he started playing less, and that's
that is generally.
But they had a bunch of injuries.
What about what do you two the haters? How do you interpret the fact that his best game was their playoff game? I mean, does that do anything?
I'm not. Well, it depends on what you want to call a hater. I'm not a hater because I'm like significantly above market on him.
Jacob does not like how he's getting painted.
Like I'm a hater in that. Like I hated his prospect profile, and like I'm still, I guess, like a hater in the sense that I'm pretty darn skeptical. But like in terms of the probabilistic game that we play, I think his price is pretty appealing. Like I mean, now there were very different opinions on Now I feel like I'm in this trap where I can't compare him to any other players, but like I'm going to anyway. Because I think it's.
I don't understand why we're not allowed to compare people.
It's a good shorthand.
So like for instance, like I would, as a comparison to like other guys that I thought I was not very high on as prospects, and I thought had underwhelming rookie years, or like that were like not terrible rookie years, because I agree Matthew Golden didn't have a terrible rookie year, but I would say it was certainly an underwhelming rookie year. Like the fact that he's going where he's going right now at round 9-10 compared to say where Pearsall was going last year, who I think would be an interesting comparison. And I'm not doing this about what happened to his year. I'm just saying strictly the market's reaction to a round 1 pick, an underwhelming profile, who the decks were cleared out for. Yeah. The market decided that's a round 6 profile last year, and I think there's a lot of similarities.
Luther Burden also
Golden, where that was a lot of underwhelming routes. Year 1, and then underwhelming prospect profile.
Way more
the market
sweet.
they cleared the decks for him, and the market decided that's a round 9-10 profile. Like that just is odd to me. So like Golden,
Keon
I would
Coleman was going
Golden
in this range, right?
Yeah, but he had a way worse year 1 and a way worse prospect profile, I think. Like
no, Keon Coleman was an early declare. He was, I think he was a better prospect.
Well, Golden was an early declare.
Well, that's
true. An early declare. That's the only thing he had going for him. But
that's the only thing he had going for him. But
he was very good in the.
Keon Coleman was like
couldn't separate at all. Like
Coleman had some like serious concerns about his game, but he produced, and Golden game kind of fit the NFL better probably, but he didn't produce. So I think they were fairly equivalent.
I don't know. We can get into the minutia of it. I just think that Golden's in terms of like the way that the team acted in the offseason, where they were like, we know this guy didn't do a whole lot year 1, but we really, really believe in this guy, and we're going to take significant actions we don't need to take. They easily could have kept Wicks. They got like a 5th and a 6th for him, but we're going to go out of our way to clear the decks for this guy. We're going to put him in position to succeed. Like, that's not usually the kind of thing I'd like to buy into, but that's usually because it's the kind of thing the market buys into a lot. And interestingly, I think in this case, the market's expressing a lot of confidence against that, where they're drafting Reed, who I like better. I think is a better player, but he's probably the underdog to run more routes than Golden is this season. They're drafting him significantly higher. So I think it's just a.
And who's their wide receiver for now? They've always had the depth.
Savion Williams.
They don't have the
like
depth now.
Guy.
They have
my concern with Golden is like
Sky Moore might be their wide receiver for.
Yeah, I mean it might be Bo Melton, who they transferred to cornerback and now is playing wide receiver again. I think right. Like it's definitely different
really
than
weak.
Past years.
So what Dobbs was doing last year was difficult. I'm not betting on Golden,
but I'm betting against market pessimism, I guess.
Getting like the Dobbs role means you have to go play X. You have to go be a real NFL receiver that earns targets from the outside. And I'm not sure that Golden can do that. Like he was a very low floor prospect for a first round pick. He doesn't get a lot of playing time in his rookie season. His efficiency wasn't bad, and maybe it could have been better, but it's, it wasn't something where I'm like, ooh, interesting. Like imagine him in a bigger role. It's kind of like, yeah, he might be okay. And then you have, even with them clearing guys out, Jayden Reed can straight up earn targets. Like I agree with you. He's going to have more limited route participation, most likely, but that dude is going to earn targets when he's on the field. Tucker Kraft looked like an awesome yards after catch playmaker last year. He could, once back to full health, be a huge part of what they're doing. And Christian Watson can earn targets downfield, like 18 yards downfield. He can actually earn targets in a way that it like really helps the offense. Like it's going to be a key part of what they're doing, I think, is keeping Watson involved, because it opens up a lot of other stuff. My concern with Golden is that he has the potential to become the 4th target on his team by the end of the season, and just be someone where they're like, you know what, this didn't work. And he still has utility for us as kind of a wind sprinter on the outside, but he can't earn targets for us playing this traditional X. And we have a guy in the slot who's better than him at that. So what's this?
He ran more routes last year than Luther Burden in the regular season. A lot of that was early, and he lost work. Emeka Egbuka also had a really weird rookie year. It's another data point to this idea.
Weirdest rookie year for Egbuka.
It's a
super weird year.
I'm going to go back to that macro point that I think it's way more difficult in the modern NFL to come in as a rookie right now and be trusted to do all the things, because they're trying to do a lot of different things. Offensively, yes, and you should be stoked about that, right? But I'm just saying, like, Egbuka is a guy who had a great rookie year, and they scaled him back. He was a little bit banged up, I think, as well, but they scaled his routes back and his usage back.
Egbuka was playing like 3 different positions. Like to give credit to Egbuka, they had him. He also multiple receiver
did get
positions.
injured. Like he got injured.
Yeah,
he had a hamstring
like
issue.
His ramp up as far as like getting like the understanding of the playbook was like really, really impressive.
I totally agree with the market's assessment of that. I totally agree with the market's assessment of Burden for the record. I think it's going to be a really concentrated offense this year as well. There's basically no one behind Burden and Adunze and Loveland. Like Khalif Raymond's 32. I was surprised to learn that when I went through the projections process. He had like 6 years where he wasn't involved in offenses before he started being a bit player for the Lions in the last like half decade. He's super old. And they basically have no one else. Savion Thomas is super fast, and they're going to use him. I think Ben Johnson's going to use him creatively, and he's talked about using him in the backfield, but they've talked about him as a returner too, and he's a pretty sort of limited rookie. Like I think it's got to be the big three guys there, and so I'm excited about Burden. The point I would make is that I think it's all priced in with Matthew Golden. Like I'm not excited about paying like 4th round prices for Matthew Golden like you have to for Burden, and I actually do take Burden in the 4th, but you don't have to pay anywhere close to that on Matthew Golden. You get this massive gap for a guy that when I compare Golden and Burden, Golden ran more routes last year, had a better playoff game. Burden actually wasn't great in the playoffs. His really good per route stuff you kind of need to limit to the regular season. When they talk about, you know, people who share the stuff and say it's the best rookie year or whatever per route. If you add in
it is, but you have to lie so much. I know, because I said this in a video and I was like, I'm gonna say
I think Luther Burden's
lie.
overpriced for the record.
But so Burden is going. Golden got drafted ahead of him. He was a 1st round pick. Burden was a 2nd round pick. They both had limitations in their rookie years. Burden was way more efficient, granted. But like most of the
way more productive in college as well.
Way more productive, way better, way more interesting profile. But the gap of a 4th round pick and a 10th round pick or whatever it is I think it's more than priced in.
I don't think it is priced in for best ball. I think
guys
for
that are even
redraft
different
you
than
could argue
Burden,
it is.
Like, what about Golden versus the guys that are going just barely behind him? Because like Golden projects, let's just say that our base, because I would agree, Pat, like we probably have a pretty similar base expectation of who Golden is. But let's just say that we're right, and he's like kind of a mid, like slightly better than wind sprinter receiver. He still projects to run a completely full route share. He's barely going ahead of like Romeo Dobbs. Like to me, it's like.
Yeah, he couldn't.
Yeah,
you're
play
paying
ahead of Dobbs
barely anything. Like you're paying
Dobbs.
barely anything else on top of like baseline NFL starting receiver who's going to run full routes, and you kind of just get any talent upside that we're wrong for free.
But I don't know that he is that.
Look at this comment in the chat. Like, not to be a dick, but Golden goes before Shaheed, Coker, and Diggs. I cannot get there on that. That's the biggest, like, behind the wide receiver window ass, veteran ass, no upside ass wide receiver trio I've ever heard. And it's like, dude, you are so certain that there's no upside to Matthew Golden if you can't take a year 2 guy with round 1 prospect profile that a good passing game
Matthew Golden is just Shaheed with draft capital. Insane take.
But we don't know that.
If you promised me Rashid Shaheed was on the Packers and was going to run 90% routes, I would take him 2 rounds ahead of where Matthew
we don't need to relitigate the
certainly
Shaheed
fine
wars.
with
I
Matthew
obviously
Golden
was
going
vindicated on the Shaheed wars. Like we don't need to go into.
But I think the Dobbs
You were
comp is
so
a good
vindicated.
one. Dobbs is going to run a bunch of routes this year. He's on the Patriots. They don't have like a ton of guys I'm worried about other than AJ Brown. And I know that Dobbs can play. Like when I get into this range with Golden, this is a range where if the guy turns out to be the number 4 on the Packers, if he's basically like a 17th, 18th round type value, that really, really hurts my team in best ball. Or if you guys are talking about, hey, I'm getting in redraft the ability to take a look at this dude and see if there's a whole nother level to his game, I get that way more. But like, I don't want him above Dobbs. I don't want him above Concepcion, who I think is, and he is going above Concepcion, who I think is a higher upside swing on the talent. You can get guys like Khalil Shakir, who's going to be the number 2 wide receiver in Buffalo. Probably runs fewer routes, but I know he can play. Like
why does the ordering matter so much? Like if he's going to run,
they can both be good plays.
Like so the ordering is like. Because it's probably going to be pretty flat. I mean, the market assumes it's going to be kind of flat.
Shakir goes like literally 15, 16 picks after him.
But he's going to run, even if he's the number 2 target, Shakir's going to cap out at like 60 to 70% routes. Golden is probably projecting for 85 to 90.
I know, but what is he actually earning from, a targets per route run perspective there?
Even if it's
3 guys who are probably better than him.
15% targets per route run, that's probably a 15% target share.
There's someone in the chat said Gretch in all caps and said that's a crazy take, and I don't know what it was. It was maybe when I was comparing Golden to Burden.
No, I think it's when you said Van Jefferson was bad.
Gretch, it's concerning if you don't know which of the takes is crazy.
But I just want to emphasize that my take on Golden is not that it's like he's similar to Burden or any of these things. the vast majority of the situations I've been trying to discuss, and I was doing some slight pattern matching there as well, but my point is trying to be that the market is too certain of a lot of things, and I think this happens a lot these days, especially as we have year-round best ball and stuff. Like, we're very certain about what things actually are. The lesson that we used to always teach, like, constantly on Ship Chasing when I was here with you guys, was how uncertain this all is. We don't know fucking anything. Like, half the things we think we know are wrong. Like, somebody early in the chat wrote or mentioned a thing I've been writing about a lot this offseason. I've been calling the 60-40 rule, where, like, all the models that we build, the best, like, R squared that we can get is like 0.6, and then you have 40%, the rest, like 1 minus the R squared, is unexplained variance. And so we sit and we talk about the 60%. That's what we're talking about now. We're talking about all the things we know about the prospect profile and all these things about the offense and things that we know. The 40% of unexplained variance is shit that we get wrong every year, and we can't model, and we don't know, and we learn every year in like September and October, oh yeah, we don't know shit. Like, that happens every year. And I mean, my whole point on the like golden burden thing is not that they're similar. It's that the gap between them is it creates way too much certainty.
The upside on burden is a lot higher, in my opinion. And
yeah,
it
is.
I'm
not comparing them.
Can go at the 1-2 turn.
You are comparing.
I'm actually more trying to emphasize my comparison between them and Shaheed Coker and Diggs, because I know what Shaheed Coker and Diggs are, because I've seen multiple seasons of them in different offenses and doing different things. I mean, Coker's still developing, and he's a guy that people who read my stuff know that I've really, really liked. But my point is, you being like, I can't get there with Golden over those dudes. What do you think, like, Stephon
That
Diggs
was someone in the
do?
chat. No, I don't agree with that. That's just some comment.
No, I know. I'm not
just
saying
to be clear, like, I have Golden ahead of ADP in the FFPC main event. I have him well behind ADP in best ball. And you're talking about the market being overly certain of things. I think the market's overly certain that Golden's going to run a full slate of routes all year in a format where we get paid out at the end of the season for what happens in those final 3 weeks, a lot more so than what happened in those first 14 weeks. That's where I think the market is actually overconfident. It's like, well, he's a starter in Green Bay. Yeah, he is in week 3 probably. And he's probably a starter in the sense that he's out there for like 70% plus by, all season. But this dude might suck. He might suck. And there's guys going just behind him that I'm very confident in don't suck. I actually have a really large sample that says they don't suck, and they're in good offenses like a Shakir. So that's where I'm like, it's a best ball. It's a best ball versus redraft thing. Golden is a perfectly fine pick, even a good pick. Like I said, I'm ahead of ADP in the FFPC in the main event. I just really don't think, like, if you want to take shots on guys who probably aren't good, draft Deshaun Stribling. he's much cheaper
for best ball. Yeah.
For best ball, yeah.
I basically don't play best ball anymore, so.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to drill down there because, like, I'm specifically fading Golden in best ball, and I'm not actually fading him in, or I haven't drafted enough to know, but I'm not planning to fade him in redraft.
All right, Gretch, let's hit another one here, an outlier to chase. I mean, we put him on the thumbnail. We got to do it. It's Keaton Mitchell season.
Let these fucking guys have it, Ben. Let these goddamn heretics. Like, I've been yelling at these guys for 6 months. They're like, David's so stupid. And then Gretch writes one 1,800-word article about Keaton Mitchell, and both of them had their come to Jesus moment.
Definitely longer than 1,800 words.
Definitely longer.
Come on.
The come to Jesus moment should have been the wanted poster. That wasn't enough for them. But yes, Ben, the floor is yours.
Jacob shared, Fernando NC was kind enough to share the article on social media and say some nice things and say that it kind of, I think you said, changed your opinion on it or something to that effect. And then my mentions became me realizing that I'd stepped into the ship chasing disagreement where Davis was like, oh, now you care about Keaton Mitchell? And Jacob it was a nice back and forth.
I will say this: if Gretch writes a long piece on Terrence Ferguson, I'll
don't do it, Gretch. Don't do it.
Yeah, I will.
Well, you guys got to understand, Ben knows a lot about football, so I think that's pretty likely.
Terrence Ferguson. I already came across the aisle not a long time ago.
I did write about him a lot in the offseason signals thing. That's going to be a Sean article, I bet. That guy loves Terrence Ferguson. He wants to take him in every draft.
I was going to say that's Sean's tight end 8. If I know anything about Sean,
I have 100% exposure to Terrence Ferguson in my solo big gorillas so far.
Guys, I'm sorry, but fast forward to 2027, and Sean's going to be doing takes about how Sean McVay is a fake sharp. That's where this is headed. It's actually should be Sean McVay's fault. When
you know the historical. Here's actually the historical comp. This would have been Trey McBride's second year. I'm a loyal Stealing Bananas listener, and I remember they're doing a slow main, and they're debating. This is this was even a best ball draft, and you guys already had 3 tight ends, and Sean goes on a long diatribe about how you need to take Trey McBride as your tight end 4, right? Obviously before the Trey McBride breakout. That's Terrence Ferguson. He's just so good and such a great pick. You got to have him even as your 4th tight end in the FFPC. Anyway, back to Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah, the Keaton Mitchell thing, I mean, the stuff, it doesn't surprise me that he was a hot button player. Obviously, I famously came on here and said he had the most impressive 8 carry sample in the preseason.
Still looking for the right angle.
We're still trying to find the right camera angle on that. It was a little bit embarrassing when we got the end zone camera.
And then Mike McDaniel showed Keaton how to do selfies, and then we finally got the right Keaton angle.
We got the end zone camera, and I was like, no, these aren't the plays. They're coming up. And then it was over. It was over. It was not great. I'm telling you, from the sideline angle, those plays looked really impressive. It's a very important note. We obviously didn't get a lot out of Mitchell. Some of the offseason discourse I was seeing was the Ravens didn't want to keep him, which I just thought was really weird when, again, to Davis's point, we got the wanted poster, and we got one of the things I talked about in the piece was we got $5 million fully guaranteed, which is really kind of a lot for a free agent runner. It matched Rico Dowdle. It was just lower than Chris Rodriguez. People have made a huge deal about the $8 million Tyler Algier got, which is more, obviously, but Isaiah Pacheco and Rachaad White got under $2 million each this offseason in terms of full guarantees. Brian Robinson got under $1 million. These are way more accomplished players. People want to emphasize that Keaton Mitchell's a former UDFA who has gotten 150 touches so far. Then you need to explain to me why a team just paid him $5 million fully guaranteed, because to me, that makes the $5 million that much more interesting. He's not just a UDFA who got 150 touches to them. They think there's something here, right? And that's meaningful. And then as far as the Achane thing, and as far as pattern matching goes, it's hilarious that I was just commenting on that because I spent most of the article pattern matching Keaton Mitchell to Devon Achane, while obviously acknowledging that they're not the same dude, because Achane is a 3rd-round pick and he's been a very productive player at the NFL level up to this point. But having said that, for everyone who was, the way that I wrote it was there's a lot of people that are going, he's obviously not Devon Achane, who Mike McDaniel had last year and utilized in a lot of really interesting ways. And I just don't think that's really actually very fair to Keaton Mitchell, because when you do try to look at the ways that Mitchell is, as I wrote, unique in his own way, they're not that different, frankly, if you do think about them as somewhat similar, and the similarities are obvious. Achane's 5'8", 4. What's the 4 again in terms of the combine metrics on RAS when it says 5'8", 4? Is it 4? Is it 4/12? Is it 4 inches or is it 4/10?
It's eighths.
4/8. He's 5'8" and a half. That's what it is. So he was 5'8" and a half. Weighed 188. Mitchell was 5'7" and 7/8, so a little bit less than a half inch shorter. Weighed 179. He weighed 9 pounds lighter when they both came out in 2023, and he was a slightly more than a half inch shorter, which is just relevant in the sense that obviously in terms of BMI and stuff, they were a little bit closer than even the 9 pounds. If Mitchell's slightly smaller, they ran a very similar 40-yard dash. Achane 4.32. Mitchell 4.37. Their 10-yard split was actually 0.01 off, 1.49, 1.50. But Mitchell's actually the one that has the better tested top speed in the NFL as of last year. On NFL Pro, he led the NFL in touches where he hit 20-plus miles per hour. He only had 59 carries. He led the NFL with 6. That's not a rate, or sorry, with 7. That's not a rate of his 59 carries. 7 times on 59 carries, he hit 20-plus miles per hour, which I just want to emphasize. If you guys watched the preseason from the sideline angle, you would have known that this was going to happen. But anyway, Jonathan Taylor and Jahmyr Gibbs were the two guys right behind him, tied with 6 instances of hitting 20-plus miles per hour. They did it on 323 and 243 rush attempts. And Achane had 5. Achane led the league in times hitting 15-plus miles per hour. He had a 5.7 yards per carry last year. He got into space. He got up to top speeds last year. He did not hit 20-plus miles per hour as often as Mitchell, despite way more volume. which again is not to knock Achane. It's just to say that a lot of times when we do pattern match, you're way off. It's sort of like they're very different players. In this case, I think it's actually a reasonably fair argument to say that Keaton Mitchell is a close facsimile to what Devon Achane is. Their size isn't that different. Then one of the other big things, I remember Jacob being really in on Achane coming out. One of the big things he emphasized at the time was Achane's surprising volume for a backup.
He didn't know he was small. He thought he was a Marion Hampton size.
Yeah, that is sort of the beauty of Achane as a prospect. I mean, he was just like he was an inside runner. He's a real running back.
Right. And he had 196 carries in his final year. His yards per carry actually came down quite a bit as he added volume, and he only played 10 games. He missed a little bit of work, but he was able to get close to 200 carries. Keaton Mitchell had over 201 in his final year. His yards per carry actually shot up as he got more volume. He led the conference with a 7.2 yards per carry. Now, he was in the American Conference at East Carolina. Achane's doing this in the SEC, but Achane's really big yards per carry season was the sophomore year. He was at 7.0. On much less volume. So when he added volume, he did lose a little bit of efficiency, which happens when you have to be a workhorse in the SEC. It makes sense. My point is just that Keaton Mitchell showed similar traits, similar ability to run at volume and continue to be efficient as well. He had a strong receiving profile, which Achane also had. He had the athleticism at similar size. And they both came out as 3-year early declares. Mitchell's actually about half a year younger. Played as a 21-year-old rookie that first year and was starting to come on until he got hurt. And then the last 2 years, he's been behind Derrick Henry, like the biggest workhorse of all time. They've been using Justice Hill as like, hey, this is the situational stuff we need alongside Henry, but otherwise we want Henry on the field. There was a lot last year when Mitchell couldn't get on the field that like John Harbaugh was like, yeah, he's a limited player. If we put him on the field, then we can't do things on special teams, this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, no shit. John Harbaugh doesn't have the imagination that Mike McDaniel does. So obvious the change in offensive philosophy from one team to the other.
Right, that's the other huge part of it that I think is fascinating, where people are like, Harbaugh was down on him. It's like, I feel like Harbaugh didn't know what he had personally, but McDaniel goes and pays for him. McDaniel, for all the things that he does well, his greatest strength is using speed and space. He's done it not just with Achane, but with like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And Pat, you started writing about the splash zone targets because he was so good at getting
Smith. He turned Jonnu into this weapon. He just takes what he has and he knows what his plays work for.
He loves it. He loves the phrase "think players, not plays." And Pat had, did all that great research on the splash zone a couple of years ago when Miami was like. Tyreek and Waddle, I think, were 1-2, and Mike Gesicki was like 4 in the league. I remember the first year you were doing the deep middle targets because he was finding ways to get speed moving
his
horizontally.
Whole offense was,
Get speed moving horizontally down the field. And for Gesicki and Jonnu and stuff, those are tight ends, but they're athletic tight ends. But obviously Tyreek and Waddle had massive efficiency in that offense. With Achane the last few years, it's been a ton of volume in the pass game. They've split him out and thrown quick hitters to him. They run the angle routes out of the backfield. He had a touchdown on an out and up last year. I wrote a piece recently about running back air yards. They are throwing vertically to Achane as well as some stuff behind the line of scrimmage. He got a ton of volume. He's one of 6 running backs last year that had 85 plus targets. I think that's going to carry over. The Miami offense all 4 years under McDaniel, even before Achane, had way more targets to the running back position than the Chargers offense has the last couple of years under Greg Roman. But I sometimes talk about how that's a quarterback thing. I talk about in the article how I don't think that's a Herbert thing, because when Herbert had Austin Eckler led the league, and he led the team in targets. He led the league in running back targets. He had a massive running back profile. That might have been the Pat Kerrane millionaire year. Eckler obviously was a stud, and that was with Herbert. McDaniel this offseason already had a quote that they're working with Herbert on his footwork so we can get the ball out quicker. He likes the quick passing game. Obviously, that was like the whole offense with Tua. That was the only thing Tua did well, was quick, accurate throws. I do think Herbert can do that stuff, as evidenced by the Eckler receiving earlier in Herbert's career. And now you get Mitchell there. I do think it's great for Amari and Hampton, too. I think you want to be in on both of these guys. I like Hampton a lot, too. And if I'm wrong on Mitchell, I think it's because Hampton's probably like a star, like an absolute superstar. And I think there's like, I don't know if you've done the legendary upside piece yet, Pat, but I imagine
even if he is an absolute superstar, this is the thing.
Trip.
You're going to come out with a strong legendary upside profile on Amari and Hampton.
I'm a little bit worried about this just kind of being too split. I mean, Hampton is a second round pick where you want him to be able to like own the backfield and he's not. Hampton doesn't profile as this guy who's going to be like ultra efficient. You know, maybe the offense is so good he scores a ton of touchdowns, but he's more like, the beauty of Omarion Hampton is that he kind of profiles as a back who has enough juice to be an awesome fantasy player with elite usage.
But
like,
one
give,
of the things,
give this guy a workhorse role and he can take you there. But I'm worried he doesn't have it with Mitchell. But I also worry about Mitchell with the receiving stuff. The part of the Achane comp that kind of falls flat for me is on the receiving side. You did convince me there's more upside if Omarion Hampton were to miss time. I think to me the most convincing part of the piece was you talking about his college workhorse ability and him being basically more of a real running back despite the size than you would think. And I think that ultimately he has more upside than I was thinking before I read the piece, but primarily in a contingent way. I'm still pretty skeptical that he has this receiving role in the offense. I think it's more of a secondary rushing role.
So I think that's a fair point. And I wrote about both parts of the Mitchell thing. Part of why I wanted to go so long on him was that when I went through the projection process, I did wind up projecting Mitchell for a pretty meaningful receiving role because he is a small, super fast guy, and McDaniel did utilize a very similar player to get him the ball in space, and I feel like it does fit. I'm pattern matching there for sure, and I say that. If you don't get that, the reason I'm so confident you're going to have a good legendary upside score on Omarion Hampton is when I went through the projection process, I was surprised to remember or find or whatever that Omarion Hampton had such a strong receiving role last year. 3.6 receptions per game.
Part of it was how bad their offensive line was, though.
Yeah.
Like,
and you
Herbert
care
was
about that in
getting
your
the ball out.
I do really care about that.
Quick.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Davis.
Well, part of it was the, like, you know, you did the running back air yards thing. Part of it was that the offensive line was so bad that they were getting the ball out super, super quick, which is not to say he can't own that skill set this year, but I don't know how much of his stuff is going to be designed.
But I do think McDaniel sees the success rate element of those plays as a benefit,
sure.
and he comes in and he talks immediately about, I want to change Herbert's like footwork and improve the footwork of a potential MVP candidate, like exclusively to be able to do those things, to get the ball out quickly and do a lot of that. I mean, that's the part of it where I'm like, yeah, this is, I mean, it's pattern matching, but it's also like, this is a kind of coaching tendency. You don't want to try to apply everything, but this is the kind of coaching tendency that I do think is relevant. If I'm taking over the Chargers, they have a bunch of really good receivers and tight ends, but I want to get the ball into the playmakers' hands that I think are the best playmakers on the team, and those guys are part of it. But certainly I want to utilize the first-round running back from last year, Omarion Hampton, and then the fact that he put up the wanted posters and paid all the money to get Keaton Mitchell, it's speed that he wants to use, dude.
I gotta interrupt. Pete, share my screen.
Can we? I know you want to do the neighbor stuff, but can we just have this conversation?
Yeah, can we finish the conversation we're having?
Okay, all right.
Is this a Malik Nabers gate thing again? Is Davis doing the?
Malik Nabers is running well at practice. There's a good video of him running well.
Because Davis sent out something like a month ago that it was so over for Malik Nabers because he was like hobbling a little bit. I was like, that actually.
Well, wait until he sees the backpack he wore to practice today. Davis is going to draft him one more time.
Well, the one thing. Sorry, go ahead, Pat.
I just on the receiving side of it, it's like he's moving from. This is the part that I really do have a lot of skepticism on. Is like he was sharing a backfield for 3 seasons now with Derrick Henry and Justice Hill, and managed a total of 23 targets in that span. And that's where I'm like, I understand that he is fast and you would want to get him in space. But his ADOT over those years was -0.7, -6, -3. Like he wasn't being used on any kind of creative, in front of the line of scrimmage types plays. He's like, and we see this all the time actually with fast running backs where you're like, I kind of have the same skepticism with Damon Claiborne, where it's like, yeah, okay, he's like really fast. They'll use him as a receiver. It's great when a fast back can be used as a receiver, but speed is not enough to be used in the receiving game. You actually have to have those skills. Receiving, being part of the receiving game requires some skills, even out of the running back position. And Achane like clearly has those skills. He had 43 targets as a rookie. And so I'm just like, I think, okay, Maybe, but who's the other back? Hampton? Hampton was actually pretty good as a receiver. He was also a first-round pick, so he's probably going to play a lot.
It would have to be a conscious choice, Pat, from McDaniel. It wouldn't be
I
one
just
of those
don't
things.
buy that. I don't think that that's the plan. I think the plan is to get him the ball potentially in space, but like on pitches and cool motion things. It's going to be rushes.
That's how he was
primarily.
used for the Ravens.
Well, we got through some of
the
the receiving back versus pass down back stuff last week, and it might be similar with Mitchell, because I also was pretty skeptical because he was never used as that receiving option in Baltimore. But there is some receiving in the college profile. Like, he had 2 seasons over 20 receptions back in college, and he's never going to be a pass down back because he's so small, right? Like, there's going to be serious pass blocking limitations. But I don't think that there was room in Baltimore for that receiving back role, as in like a guy who comes in on early downs for primary running back targets without playing like traditional pass downs, because Derrick Henry is eating up all the early downs. Lamar Jackson offense, like, it's just not really ever been a big role in how they play things there. So if there is more of a role for that within the satellite back in this new offense, which Mike McDaniel's always used, like, maybe some of that college receiving profile does come back into play a little bit.
I think that's a great point. The other thing is he played 26. He was active for 26 games. It's about a season and a half over 3 years. He had 121 carries. He had 24 targets. When we talk about guys that don't get used as runners, I often look at that ratio, and it's usually about 10-1 when it's like, I don't know, some boomer pack that doesn't actually play in the pass game. That's more like 5-1. That's like he had more than 20% rate of targets to rush attempts. I think part of it, him not being used as a receiver, is he just didn't get used. He wasn't playing a lot with the Ravens over the last 3 years. And Jacob's talking about a little bit why. When you have Derrick Henry the last 2 seasons, and then when they take Henry off, it's for specific like pass protection and pass down stuff that Justice Hill was doing really well the last couple years. But like, Keaton Mitchell's yards per target for his career right now with a negative ADOT is 7.7. The running back average is about 6.0. His yards after the catch per reception on his 19 career receptions are absurd. It's another data point, another small sample data point, but another data point that emphasizes that this is probably an explosive ball in hand player, which
I agree with that.
Preseason stats emphasize, the actual NFL stats emphasize. His career on the 121 carries, his career yards per carry is 6.3. Like, this dude is like, it's not just in my dreams. He's had the production when he actually plays. He's actually been extremely explosive at the NFL level when he's been on the field.
Fourth in the NFL in rushing yards over expectation his rookie year.
I mean, he's been incredibly good. I understand some of your skepticism, Pat, and I agree. The point is that and this maybe gets back to best ball versus redraft as well.
That's where I wanted to go with this.
Yeah, the point for me is that it's a player that some skeptics, I think, have like overcorrected the negative stuff and don't emphasize what's actually there. And so that's what I was talking about in the piece, was like don't miss what's actually in this profile. Like, I called the piece, "Don't Listen to the Boomers" about Keaton Mitchell. And halfway down, I had a little paragraph that I bolded where I was like, there are people not even looking at what's actually here, so they can fall over themselves to call Mitchell a slappy pick who can't stay healthy and can't possibly become anything, when the greatest play designer for utilizing speed of this generation put up posters to get his GM to pay the guy way more money than he should have reasonably garnered if he's a total nothing. And that player's actual on-field production background is quite a bit better than he seems to get credit for. And then, the very last line of it, I was like, there's the home run swing is there. And again, I'm not making a case he's without risk, which we know is how the Boomers will frame it if he doesn't hit. That a bunch of slappies just don't get it, but just don't listen to them this time when it comes to this specific profile, chase the Keaton Mitchell hype. The whole point I was trying to make on both of those kind of summary sections is like, yeah, there's risk. Yeah, there's an opportunity for a 179-pound back to not actually build into a real role and make you look stupid for being all in on the guy. But there's actually meat on the bone as well. Like, there's real stuff in this profile that is not being favorably discussed when we make all the caveats about him being too small or the usage or this or that. I mean, we're ultimately looking for outliers. We're ultimately looking for guys that make, when you watch the preseason, make you come on shows and sound like an idiot because of camera angles, because you're certain it's the most explosive guy of all time. But like guys that do stuff like that are unique at the NFL level, and Keaton Mitchell is legitimately unique. And so anyway, I mean, it's not a bet that's for the faint of heart or without risk or anything.
Is it an ups? The thing is, like, is it really a home run swing without an injury? Like, he can pass Hampton, because he has to pass Hampton for it to be a home run.
He doesn't have to pass Hampton.
I'm saying contingent home run swing, Pat.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think he has to
Is that-
pass Hampton for it to be a massive hit in best ball. This backfield could lead the league in XFP, and they could split up 60-40, and he's
Yeah, but that wouldn't be like a massive home run, to Pat's point. If he's the 40 and the 60-40 and they have a ton of like he'll be really good, but he won't be a Devon Achane breakout season. My point when I was making
Devon
the home run
Achane
point-
was the 40 and a 60-40.
That's right.
I mean, well, but
he was really good that year.
the reason I wanted to talk about the best ball
it's
versus
Mostert
managed
versus
is
Hampton is the problem. Go ahead,
I've
sorry.
completely come around on Keaton Mitchell as a best ball target. Like, I see the vision. I don't have to deal with when he breaks off the big plays, all of this. I do. It's really, really hard for me to get there from the managed perspective because, again, like Keaton Mitchell's had one game in his career with double-digit carries. Like, Achane down the stretch of his rookie year was averaging 15, 16 carries a game. And I just feel like if we are going to get that big home run, like, do we really think he could get that? Because the roles were so different with the Achane Mostert split. I just worry about Mitchell getting squeezed.
You're totally right. And this is why I emphasize the receiving paths that I saw so much, that there might actually. So the way that I broke it down in the final section was like, with the projection stuff, was like, there might actually be a floor here if he gets like 40 targets, which is like roughly what I projected. There might actually be a PPR floor. You might be able to play him as sort of a 0 RB or like an anchor running back. We're like, yeah, you play him in your RB2 spot when he's projected for like 7 points. And you're not expecting a ton more, but he can stack receptions and he has explosive play potential, even if he's only getting 8 touches, to a degree where like we play those guys every year because your running backs get hurt, man. It's hard to find RB2s. Like, that's part of this whole thing. If we have an RB2 who can at least give us 3 catches in a game and 40 total yards and give us 7 points and has the potential to have the best ball spike weeks, that's meaningful to me in the perspective that like Mitchell last year was a guy the whole time you're like, do I have to cut him? Because I can't keep holding him. I'm definitely not playing him. But this year, I do think there's the potential for you to be like, yeah, I mean, I'm on bye weeks with my other running backs, or this dude got a concussion last week. I can plug in Keaton Mitchell because I think there's a reasonable 7 or 8 point floor plus the explosive play potential if I catch lightning in a bottle this week. That's the part of it that's so interesting. It's not me saying I'm certain he's going to get the receiving volume. It's me saying that he could become that. And if he becomes that by like week 5, then you're like, man, what I said is he could be a potential small hit, big hit profile. I was talking about the small miss, big hit and everything. But if you start talking about standalone plus what his big, because his big hit to me is still the contingent stuff, to be clear about that, Pat.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's where the price comes in, and I actually think he's maybe a better pick in best ball, though. I'm fading him in both. But
I think he's a better pick in
I
best
definitely
ball.
think he's a better pick.
Yeah, it sounds like we're all in agreement.
But
with
he's
that.
more expensive in the FFPC. I mean, part of that's kind of
because
the running back
everybody's
thing.
just-
there.
It's just how
Yeah,
it goes.
but he's going like a pick behind Chris Rodriguez. Like their ADP is literally 1 spot apart. And how is Chris Rodriguez not a better pick than Keaton Mitchell? Like I'm betting on Tootin, but like that backfield's open. Like Tootin might suck. I'm pretty sure Hampton doesn't suck, So like what I get to me, I'm like, well, there's a potential home run. You can
But
argue
he's
about
like
the
the only
probability
dude.
the home run hits.
But can Rodriguez really be a home run? He could certainly be a double.
Yeah, I think he could be the Jaguars' starting running back this year.
But
I mean, I think if people thought that about him, he would be going with Rashad White, wouldn't he? Why is he going?
People are skeptical of that, but I think you have to, like, as a Tootin' Bull, I have to.
Well, people are
admit-
skeptical of Rashad White and Jordan Mason and those guys because they're going way too cheap for guys. That
I'm
project
very
this-
open to the possibility
Fair.
Chris Rodriguez
Fair.
leads the Jaguars in targets. I don't think it's likely, but it's a possibility. In carries, not in targets.
Targets?
In carries.
Brian
Yeah,
Thomas,
in
take a
carries.
seat. Chris Rodriguez is running the fly.
Sorry, I obviously meant to say carries. But the reason why I misspoke and said targets is the next thing I was going to say is that even if he does lead the Jaguars in carries, I think the target ceiling on him is so limited that I like. What is the true ceiling for him? Is it higher than a low end RB2?
So Chris Rodriguez is going 8 picks ahead of Keaton Mitchell right now on Underdog. He's going 15 picks behind Jordan Mason and 20 picks behind Rashad White, who I think are easily underpriced for the reasons that Pat's saying, which is like they're going to have real roles and in best ball,
Super
best ball
ambiguous.
especially. Yeah, that's great. But I think that's the market saying they're a little bit less skeptical on Rodriguez, and the market is valuing his teammate as whatever, a 5th round pick or something. Tootin's going way higher. White and Mason don't have a player in their backfield going in the single-digit rounds way ahead of them. And yet, Mitchell's going behind Rodriguez. And so my point would be where Mitchell goes, you're now talking about like behind him is Woody Marks, Isaiah Pacheco, Tyjae Spears, Jonah Coleman. Like the Rodriguez versus Mitchell thing in some drafts you're gonna have to decide between, but he's like the only dude that's even in shouting distance of Mitchell that has a clear role to me and like potential ceiling in those things. And obviously like you can find one guy around somebody's ADP and be like, yeah, this guy might be a slightly better pick. It doesn't change the fact that Keaton Mitchell's still a strong pick in that spot, right?
Yeah, I don't think he is a strong pick. To me, he's similar to those guys. Like he's similar to a Dylan Sampson who catches the ball well, caught the ball well. Actually,
yeah, because
really
Dylan
well
Sampson famously had 7 clock times of 20+ miles per hour last year.
I don't think I get fantasy points for those, do I? That's not how the
you
game
do
works.
if he runs all the way
I'd
to the
rather
end
take
zone.
one reception, like in a lot of cases. So I don't know. I mean, I do think he's overpriced in both formats. Is really what it comes down. I think he's just a little overpriced in both formats. I'm the one I'm more nervous about is best ball, where he can just like have those long runs and they hit my lineup automatically.
You get credit for his 3 50-yard touchdowns, regardless of when they happen.
Like the fact that I can't project when it's going to happen doesn't hurt me in best ball, and I agree with you on that. Like you're going to put Keaton Mitchell in your lineup when he's projecting for 7, but guys who project for 7 score 3 a lot. You know, so that's where for managed, like I think you could really. He could really be a pain, like a roster clogger.
I don't think. No, I agree with that, and I actually, I don't know if I'm as adamant as you guys, but I'm not good at best ball that he's a better best ball pick because I do think there's some real floor if I'm wrong about the receiving side.
Well,
where you're not getting any value.
only one. I'm the only one.
I'm concerned about that too, Ben.
Yeah, I'd rather have him on my bench and manage than on my bench and best ball if he's not even playing a role, or if he's like if he doesn't hold up to the size concerns and the hits and stuff. I think that those are real issues and real concerns. Like somebody in the chat was like, I'm with Pat, generally bet on ambiguity over contingent upside. I'm with that too, probably broadly, but like that's not the conversation at all. The reason I just talked for 15 minutes about this guy is he's potentially an outlier. There's like a dozen of them in the entire league. Like we look for league winners. That's what I want to emphasize about the whole thing that I wrote is that Keaton Mitchell is maybe it's only a 2% chance. We've talked about this before. We're talking about tail outcomes, 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever. You have to be able to look at profiles and be like, this is unique. This is an outlier profile. It's why I'm in on I'm humoring Sean on like Kenyon Sadiq, for example. We talked about him when I was on the draft show. Like some of you guys seemed a little bit out on Sadiq. I was writing about the Jets earlier today. I don't love the Sadiq play. Didn't have a ton of production. I'm concerned about the competition for like secondary targets, and I really do think Garrett Wilson's still a true number 1 who's going to consolidate and all these things. But like Kenyon Sadiq is a freak, dude. He's 240 pounds and ran like a 4.39 and jumped out of the building and jumped across a river on his broad jump. Like this dude is potentially.
They should have put a river there.
This dude is potentially just going to like redefine the tight end position for the Jets for the next decade. Like it's not going to happen necessarily right away. But anyway, the point is just it's not about this. That's an aggregate to the specific point that I wanted to make there, where it's like, oh, ambiguity against contingent upside. For me, it's.
There's at least some ambiguity because this guy might be really, really good.
He might just be so special that you have to get him the ball. That happens.
Yeah.
Is there, Gretch, because I do want to make sure that we have time to maybe, and I say rapid fire as if we are capable of doing anything rapid fire. But are there any other guys that fall into this bucket for you that you had thought about? We've talked about Matthew Golden, Keaton Mitchell, guys that you're willing to bet on as
Stribling
outliers.
wasn't on your list, to be clear.
I'm gonna assume
Stribling wasn't. There's a lot of young RBs and RB2s and stuff. The Tootin group that we were talking about, I think, is really interesting. Travion Henderson and stuff. Like he doesn't look good from a projection standpoint at all, and yet
what do you have
in
terms of projections?
Didn't come out amazing in my projections, but I'm going to rank him higher than my projections. Like that was sort of what we were talking about with Pete. For the sort of concept for today. And somebody asked about Vidal, and I just want to emphasize as well, I think Vidal's a good player. I think if you look at like Omarion Hampton was meaningfully better than him in all the peripherals last year in the same offense. And if you look at Mitchell as a potentially unique player and Hampton as also this really strong year 2 bet, you're just not going to find touches for Kamani Vidal in that offense. He's just going to be the number 3 that doesn't get used. That's the point, is that these guys could be exceptional. If Vidal's being used, then they're not being what you think they are. then Hampton and Keaton Mitchell are not good enough, is the point.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's sort of similar to the Tootin versus Chris Rodriguez thing. It's sort of similar to Travion Henderson versus Ramondre Stevenson, the big stat that I gave in the ETR projection series about Stevenson. Like, he closed the season really, really well. Through week 13, Ramondre Stevenson had a 3.2 yards per carry. People talk about, like, he was, like, really stable last year. This guy was an inefficient runner with a fumbling problem for, like, 3/4 of the year, and then he started getting better with the ball in hand efficiency, and that's when and Henderson got a concussion at the same time and missed more than a game and a half. He missed the rest of, like, he got in the first half of a game, missed like all of the rest of that game, and then the next week. And Stevenson started to hit a little bit, and that's when the Patriots were like, well, yeah, we'll keep Stevenson on the field. We'll ride the hot hand because he also does the little things that we need in pass protection and stuff. But I think there was a lot of ebbs and flows there throughout the season and the ways that they were viewing those guys in year one. It would not surprise me if Henderson in year 2 improves at the other stuff enough that they're like, we want to get his exceptional athleticism on the field. And really the answer to the question, Pete, would be like the outliers to chase is like the efficient players, the players that can, I always talk about as unprojectable efficiency, guys that I have to remove efficiency from their projection to a degree that feels uncomfortable. And then their whole projection just becomes about volume, and we've completely nuked something that makes them special. So like another guy I wrote down that Jacob and I talked about on the second episode of our new podcast was Jameson Williams. That's a guy whose yards per target have been through the roof both of the last couple of years, and I had to pull that number way back. I put Burden down, by the way. I also put Golden down. I put Jayden Higgins down as a guy who didn't get enough routes last year, and I don't know what's going on in that offense.
Gretch hasn't seen the CJ Stroud video. He's still interested in the Texans.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud walking into the
yeah. It's
I
over,
saw
dude. Come
that.
on.
That was
I was on the, we got done with ADP chasing yesterday.
Let me just hit the delete on Jayden Higgins' name real quick.
I was clearing my slows before bed last night when we got done, and I had 3 separate CJ Stroud decision points, and I said, you know what, Darnold AJ Barner's fine. I'll just do that. I'll just do that to close it out here.
CJ Stroud says he put on 10 pounds of muscle this offseason with a Lunchables based diet.
Gretch, I think what's fascinating about the list and now going, you mentioned, we talked about Golden. You mentioned a guy like Jayden Higgins, where we aren't paying that old premium that we used to chasing like a year 2 breakout. What's really interesting with the Tootin and the Hendersons is we are paying a massive premium, where we've all kind of said the thing. If this happened 2 years ago, Tootin's going 2.5 rounds later. Henderson's going 2.5 rounds later. So how do you square this idea?
Premium?
We are paying a nerd premium.
We're paying for all the prospects the nerds liked, and we're still getting really cheap.
But the nerds like Jayden Higgins.
The prospect the nerds did.
The nerds,
that's what I mean. So why
not really.
We
didn't.
Well,
really
maybe
like
not you guys, but I'm a nerd and I like Jayden Higgins a lot.
You're not nerdy enough. You're not nerdy
Higgins
enough.
was a.
All right, sorry. Ship chasing nerds don't like these guys. They're the market setters. Like, let's be real.
If you acknowledge the existence of defense, you're not nerdy enough.
The other one I was gonna say, Pete, was Trey Harris, and like he had absurd per route profile and second round capital, and they were using him a little bit more as the season went on. And people are like, I guess, really confident Quentin Johnston is way better than Trey Harris. Trey Harris is probably just better than Quentin Johnston. Like that's probably what's going to happen. He actually has an interesting profile, and Quentin Johnston hasn't actually been that good. He was a primacy effect guy last year, got off to a hot start, and the whole thing I've been trying to emphasize is like he got lost routes, got a lot worse in the second half. People are like, well, their offense was worse. Their offensive line was worse. Okay, well, it doesn't help that one of your top receivers is actually not very good. He hit on some explosive plays early. But like Quentin Johnston's whole career to this point has been pretty underwhelming. Now, Mike McDaniel will probably find a way to use that size and speed, and I'll look stupid for saying that. But it wouldn't be that surprising to me if Trey Harris is just better long-term, because he was a solid prospect and a year 2 guy and an upside swing that, again, projects as if there's too much competition there. It's these crowded rooms. But like those guys are the ones that I want to chase. Like it's crowded rooms, it's offenses that I believe in. And then if I can get access to the cheap pieces, even if I have concerns about stuff like Keaton Mitchell's usage or Trey Harris's usage, or even to the Jayden Higgins thing, like there's not a lot of, I don't think Houston's offense is going to be great. I do think they're going to win games. They're going to score points. Their defense is going to get the ball back for their offense. There's not a lot of other places I think that volume can go. Like Tank Dell's leg is like not attached to his body, right? And we're assuming that he's going to come back and be like a superstar. I have a hard time with what he'll even look like if he gets back on the field, but maybe I'm out on, I'm misunderstanding.
The Dell stuff's been pretty bullish lately. Like, he seems like he's moving in the right. There was some stuff where it's like, oh, I don't know. The latest videos were like, he looks pretty good now. So I think Dell will contribute
his
this year.
also, so he's out for 3 weeks.
Jalen Noel broke his finger. I mean, maybe we'll get some Xavier Hutchinson to save that offense. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Xavier Hutchinson is.
Xavier
I was going to say he's playing first snap of the season is Cade Stover, Dalton Schultz, Xavier
13
Hutchinson,
personnel
Nico
with
Collins.
Hutchinson as the lone wide receiver.
Yankee already has the tweet drafted.
Yeah. My issue with Dell, Pat, is just that it's been over a full year and he's still like off on the side doing his own stuff. And I don't just need him to get on the field. I need him to be the player he was before, which was like outperforming what his prospect profile even was. Probably like, I think these guys go through sort of like ebbs and flows of athleticism and stuff. I think he was like at his peak, when he was hitting. Because even before the major injury the next year, he wasn't quite the same player as he was as a rookie. And then now we're supposed to assume.
But he got a third-round pick that year. I mean, like, I don't know that I need. He was a mega giga hit at like this ADP as a rookie.
Yeah.
What if he's just a hit? I don't actually need him to be what he was before because the price is the same when he was in like a nuclear smash. So, and he was a smash that year and he got hurt. Like, he was a guy you wanted, even though he didn't play the back half of the season. With that, like, that's pretty rare as well.
Sure.
So,
like the chat, the consigliere,
the bar's a little lower.
His point is that his issue with Dell is he's still 5'9", 150. Like, I think my thing is like, I want to bet on the next small guy to do what Dell did. I don't want to bet on Dell after a major knee injury to come back and like continue to be this small guy.
The path's pretty clear for Dell. I mean, Dell is more of a best ball pick. This might be more of a best ball redraft thing again, but I think from best ball purposes, like, he looks pretty live for 3 or 4 good weeks this year. At this point, with Noel, having an injury, I think Higgins could be pretty good. I think he could be pretty meh. As like an outside wide receiver, doesn't move the needle very much and doesn't really earn targets at a high rate. And so, yeah, Dell has a pretty clear path to being able to pay off a very, very cheap ADP in best ball. I think if you want to kind of make the case he doesn't really have that high of a ceiling for redraft, I'm open to that.
Yeah. And maybe I'm a little too high on Higgins, but back to your question, Pete, it's just mostly that like a lot of these.
I'm behind ADP in the FFPC ranks, so I think we're probably pretty aligned.
I think the market is really interesting in that regard, like you were saying. I think it's split. I think there are guys that the market should be higher on from an analytical and like excitement profile. Kenyon Sadiq, go to the tight ends. Like, I think Kenyon Sadiq should be going. He's a mid-first round pick with an extremely athletic profile.
He's crazy cheap. Like, I was really low on him as a prospect. I've been way above market on him in seasonal stuff.
I don't believe in Sadiq, really. He's a great pick. He's
so crazy. It's crazy how low his price is. And it's falling. I was getting him yesterday, like, anecdotal, but like I did 2 BBMs yesterday. I got him in the 170s. I don't even know what we're doing with that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I mean,
I think
everyone's building their strategy around getting Terrence Ferguson. They're just too excited to click T-Ferg that they forget.
I was literally trying to. I literally didn't take a tight end the previous turn because I was like, no, I'll just grab Terrence Ferguson. And then the turn that I wanted to grab Terrence Ferguson,
he got yoinked.
Still there.
Yep.
No, Sadiq was still there. I couldn't take him. I had to take Sadiq instead.
And then, I mean, Eli Stowers is the other one. He's like just as athletic as Sadiq. He ran almost as fast, and he jumped even higher. Like and then because he was a former quarterback, people were like, he's going to need time to develop. Explain to me why he had a 25% targets per route. Like, he had the better production profile than Sadiq in the last couple of years.
Way better, not even close.
He was like a legit receiving tight end in college. And the Eagles, the team that always seems to understand when like valuable players are falling, are the ones that scooped him up. Like, I mean, obviously Dallas Goedert is there, but Dallas Goedert hasn't played a fully healthy season since his rookie year. He's missed games every year since his rookie year.
They were happy to let Goddard go. And then he gave them a discount to come back and play on a 1-year contract. That is the exact type of situation that you see the rookie get phased in, like the classic analysis of rookie scoring picking up in the back half of the season. That is your classic. Njoku, Njoku and Fannin is very comparable in my mind to Stowers and Goddard.
I'm not as confident that that's even the path for Stowers, where like he is, I think, even like one level down from Fannin as far as like Fannin was a good run blocker against like
What, one level?
like
Oh, Jacob's ready to say the T word. It's on the tip of his tongue.
He's several levels
good.
down as a blocker from most NFL receivers.
I think that's probably not true, but he's
No, Khalil Shakir and Eli Stowers in a blocking competition.
Jacob's
Shakir is mogging him.
I'm not trying to be a dick because I love you,
dick.
but your tight end blocking stuff drives me insane.
Because it matters.
I'm certain the Eagles, who are the top bar of team building in the NFL right now, they have done everything right, and the players that they identify and how they approach the draft and all of these things. They used a second-round pick on this guy. I'm certain they have a better plan for what he's going to do from a blocking perspective. Or if he can't block, then what he's going to do as a receiver, which is all that fucking matters for us, then you and your tight end friends. Like, my God.
Max
You think
Toscano
Deshaun Stribling's a better blocker?
Max Toscano ass fucking tight end.
Stribling is definitely a better blocker. That's correct.
Stribling's a better blocker.
Stribling is definitely a better blocker. It's like not even close.
My God. I got to believe Max Toscano knows more about blocking than Howie Roseman. Like, Jesus Christ.
I believe that Stowers college coaches know about his blocking. He was 255th in the nation in run block snaps last year. They didn't let him do it.
Then they drafted him in the second round to be a receiver. Great. That's perfect.
They were just keeping him fresh to
that's
lead the
path.
team in
and
receiving.
He's got to play over Wicks. And then Lemon's got to play the outside.
I think he needs to get good enough at blocking to be able to block like nickelbacks and some linebackers and stuff. I don't think he's going to be going up against defensive ends in line very often. We need to stop
talking about him and Goddard like it's a 1-for-1.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm saying I don't. If you want to make the case that he's going to play as a slot receiver with Lemon on the outside and Wicks is going to fuck off on the sideline, that's a case that is totally fine to me.
That's
my
not
case about
specific
him versus Goddard drives me crazy.
It's not specific to that. I think they're going to do a lot of different formational stuff because I think a lot of offenses are. I don't think we talk enough about how the different offenses are at this stage. Like I wrote a piece in the really early offseason about how scheme's more important than ever, and I think we are evolving into like the sub-package world and all these things. They're going to use Stowers. His routes maybe won't get like super exciting, but like in best ball, like is he going to get some routes and is he going to get used in the red zone where athleticism ties to TD production, and he's literally got the best vert in the history of the tight end position? He's like a freak athlete. Like this guy may catch 8 touchdowns this year. It would not be that shocking. He's a second-round pick. What else are they like? They're just projecting him for 2027. The Eagles are just like, yeah, we drafted him in the second round for long term. I mean, maybe, but that's kind
of what the Rams did with Ferguson. I mean, he played a little bit. He played situationally, and then he's probably going to be in like this year.
He's probably going to be in Canton, I think, is what you meant.
Yeah.
Pete, will you share the screen?
I mean, like I don't know how to argue against Stowers because he's free. So like I'd mix him in too. Like I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, no, this guy that is available freely in the 18th round is a bad way to spend your 18th round pick. Like what
gliding. I've never seen anyone look so healthy.
Looks pretty good.
Tell the audio listeners what we're looking at here, Davis.
To the audio listeners, the last time you saw Malik Nabers, he was limping through a celebrity softball game. He just caught a pass from Jackson Dart the first day of Giants training camp. He looks, I mean, he doesn't have a brace on his knee. He doesn't have anything special on his ankle.
And it's still July. Davis, I'm pretty sure after you tweeted that, and you got like 9 million impressions. I don't even know what side of the Malik Nabers debate you're on, but I'm pretty sure I mentioned it on Stealing Bananas at one point where I was
like, that gets him the most engagement.
Yeah, right. I was like, Davis is tweeting this stuff, and we're nowhere near week 1. Like, he shouldn't look fully healthy at this stage. This was my point, that we were going to see this video in camp. Like,
well, Gretch,
he's healthy.
You actually wouldn't know this from me tweeting that, but I've been on the we should be drafting Nabers side this whole time.
That's why I said I knew that it was a possibility. That's why I said I don't know what side you're on.
Now I only Kleiman bag for that tweet.
I only think that because I'm stupid and my brain is like, well, Nabers in the 4th, he's probably going to project for lots of points in week 17. Like, I'm not a smart person. But the issue is now, I mean, we can have everyone's favorite conversation, which is winner's already been drafted, dude. There's 4 or 5 turn Malik Nabers. I mean, what are we What are we thinking
I
now?
don't-
Like,
I think that it's so flat from the early third to the late
Right.
fourth that I don't care at all if I have
I've
my
never-
third round neighbors teams against fourth round neighbors teams. Like I
I've
don't think
never understood that
that's a better
conversation. It's an
combo.
18-man roster where like Leone's shown that you need to not take zeros because you need contributions from like all 18 guys. Like famously, all the teams that have won have gotten Pat got the Tyquan Thornton usable week in the championship. Like, you know, you have all these. Like 2 rounds of ADP value is gonna on one of your picks is gonna change the 18-man parlay you have to build. I don't really buy that. What I do want to talk about with Nabers is if he's healthy. This is one video. If he's healthy, it needs to be emphasized that before he got hurt last year, he was in the elite, the very elite, like the Jamar Chase tier of wide receivers.
I'm doing some
can
cap
earn
research
volume.
here.
He can earn volume at every depth. He was incredibly good tracking the ball deep last year because Russell Wilson couldn't
Sounds
throw.
a little pattern matchy, Gretch.
He had an 18 plus ADOT last year in the limited routes. The year prior, he had like a 9 ADOT. So like this is a thing I've talked about for years. I love about receivers is when they have the contested catch ability. They also have the ball in hand. They can earn volume short. They can earn volume long. They have yak. They have everything. This dude is going to be efficient when healthy because he can do fucking everything that a wide receiver has to do. He's insanely good at earning volume at every route and at producing in every way before and after the catch point. He's just an absolute freak. So if he's healthy, like, yeah, I don't know how high he should go, and I don't know about the conversation of like whether the winner's already been drafted or whatever.
So before this video, I put him at 27 in my rankings, 27 overall. I think I'm going to like 15 or 16 now.
Yeah, I think he's got to go pretty high up there.
If he's catching passes on the first day of training camp, I'm assuming whatever ramp up period he's going to have is going to be quick. Like I mean,
as
we
a
expect
rookie,
him to-
he led the NFL in targets. I don't think people remember that part of it either, or maybe it's targets per game. But he had 170 targets in 15 games. It's not shown. I think he led the NFL.
Well,
in
let
targets per game.
me send this to my quantitative, Patrick Crane, my quant Pat. What just your immediate thought on seeing this play is what?
He's going to play really early in the season. Like, I don't know if he'll end up. It's still possible. Like,
He could still
we
miss
don't
week
actually
1.
see the cut. We don't see, he's not
That's
running
true.
like full speed. Like, it's not like he's, fully back to being Neighbors clearly, but this is very, very bullish. Like it is still July.
I didn't think we were
doing
getting
real
this.
football type stuff. I did not think we were going to
I
get
did not
this.
think we were
No, I
getting
didn't.
this.
I thought we were.
I mean, for good
away
reason. The
from this
reporting
because
was
of the
terrible on it for
the second
months.
surgery. Like everything looked pretty bearish for a long
The
time.
Cyclops lesion.
The
What if
Cyclops.
that was just tie-in marketing for the Odyssey? Have you
What
thought
if
about it?
Cyclops legions are good? That's what I'm starting to wonder. Like maybe having one is somehow bullish.
Cyclops
Well, I
lesion
remember-
brackets
Everything
bullish.
flipped once he got that Cyclops lesion.
I remember the first time someone brought the Cyclops lesion up, someone in the chat said it's super painful when you first get it, but then once the second surgery heals, you're like brand new. That like the
Well,
way
okay.
it's actually
Good.
Well, it's like it's done to actually aid the healing because the Cyclops lesion I think is like scar tissue if I was correct, and it gets the scar tissue out of the way. So that you
See,
heal quicker.
This is why I miss ship chasing. This is my favorite part of fantasy football touting is when we get into the medical stuff and we don't know anything. But we're talking about the
Everyone knows that
specific-
Cyclops lesions are good.
This is the
Everyone knows
this
Cyclops
part is
lesions
the
are
0-100 in your 60-40 rule. It's just us
right.
talking out of our ass.
to get
about
back to what I
Cyclops
can talk about. I mean, he looks a lot better than I thought he would at the end of July based on where things looked to stand a month ago. So, I mean, I do think he's like there's still some possibility he doesn't play week 1 or at least isn't like what we would expect of Malik Nabers type role, maybe for a few weeks. But like I was nervous a month ago, like when are we going to get Nabers? At the end of the season, is he really Malik Nabers? Like what are you actually getting? All of those concerns are like
There's another video.
way
I
down.
still
this
think
video,
I still think some of the
not as
risks are
bullish.
real in ways that like routes on air, like not to be like a Debbie Downer, but like I still think there are still very legitimate risks to full return to performance with an ACL meniscus that like 2 routes on air as impressive as they are, can't completely subside. But
This one doesn't look as good.
But
like,
for
to
the
cut-
end of the season,
I'm
I'm feeling
this.
way better.
I don't think
I
he's.
think he looks quite good in this.
I think he looks great. The deceleration is the issue, right? Usually, like look at him chop his
it's,
feet.
it's the
Oh
plant.
God, he's
it's
so
the plant,
good.
right? That's hard. It's the plant.
Yeah, but he's a month out still, a month plus. He's going pretty hard there and decelerating pretty quick. That's tough for a cornerback to beat him to the corner.
You get one best ball draft for your entire life. You get to do one best ball draft this offseason. You're on the clock at 17. You have whoever you want in the first round. Drake London is there. Malik Nabers is there. Who are you taking?
Oh, I'd probably take Nabers over London. I mean, I'm not like
I think I'm doing Nabers over London.
I'm probably not confined to those
one
two
draft.
players. Hopefully, I'm taking like Brock Bowers or something. In my whole life's on the
I'll
line.
probably take Brock Bowers.
No.
Let's take Brock Bowers.
No.
Yeah,
Bowers actually
Bowers
went.
easy.
Someone tried to get you. Someone tried to get unique, and they did Genty Bowers at the 1-2 turn.
Well, then can I draft like Justin Jefferson? Like, there's got to be
have
more
to-
players available.
You
in
have to
17.
take one. Okay, you're at 19.
Davis,
You're at 19.
Davis, I have news. Chess Liam was in this draft and he took a Buka at the 204, so I got Saquon.
Okay, hey, we have reporting from the chat. My wife is an anesthesiologist who works with ortho all the time. It's a debridement procedure, which is minimally invasive and fairly routine for the Cyclops lesion.
Is it bullish?
I'll be a big downer, and I'll say that I would take London.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Jacob.
I mean, I think so. Somebody in the chat said a funny comment that we weren't drafting Nabers because of the injury. He wasn't drafting Nabers because Dart sucks. We are not the same, which I loved that.
We aren't the same. I have no non-injury concerns about Malik Nabers. Like if we actually fully knew that Malik Nabers was 100% healthy, which I will reject that we can completely know off of one.
Yeah,
video.
we don't know that. But
if
Looks
the
good.
Oracle of Delphi came to me and was like, no, like forget the Cyclops Legion, forget the videos, forget Jordan Renan and everything he's ever reported. Like you're just getting him 100%
I am
healthy.
forgetting Jordan.
Like
Renan.
I would draft him. I don't know, probably like the one.
It's a win for Renan. Renan gave us correct information.
Was he bullish on Nabers?
No,
He
Jordan
started
Renan-
bearish and then he got
started
bullish.
bearish. No, but he was the one who broke the he's not going to be on PUP and stuff.
Fair enough, but he was the one who was opining on the Athletic NFL podcast that he was going to miss 5 to 6 weeks.
Well, I
the
take it all
regular
back.
season.
I take it all back.
Yeah,
Renan blew it.
I mean,
I
you know,
feel like he was just getting like
I forgot that
fed
was him.
information and doing the best he could, and the information changed.
is he not going to see it? I guess.
I don't think
whatever.
he's
I
Dr.
don't want to. You know
Jordan
what?
Renan. I don't.
I'm
think
sure
he's, like,
Jordan
doing
Renan. I'm sure
daily.
he works hard. I'm sure he works hard. I don't want to say anything bad about Jordan Renan.
I'll just say really nice and really bad things about him, and hopefully he'll.
He's no Elliott Shore Parks. All right.
So, but Jacob, you're saying you don't have any work. Like, what about like Justin Jefferson going where he goes when he's probably a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL because of what happened last year and this dude? I mean, the Kyler stuff is really starting to scare me because I was pretty excited about the Vikings.
Are you scared?
But I mean,
What do you mean?
Like,
what scares you?
No, Ben. Come on.
Are you
man.
Interesting.
are
I
you
thought
pro
were pretty
JJ
optimistic
McCarthy?
on-
Is that what
on
you're saying?
Jefferson.
No. I'm extremely anti JJ McCarthy.
You think McCarthy's better than Kyler? What's going
It's a
on?
big deal to me that Kevin O'Connell's like, yeah, we have a real competition, and that there was like reporting that Jefferson, like in OTAs, Jefferson was pissed at both of them because like, or I don't know if there was reporting or I just heard this or something, but he was pissed at both of them because like neither of them can throw the ball. Like Kyler Murray might not be able to play NFL in this current
Kyler
NFL.
Murray's not that good.
No, he's fine.
Come on,
I-
man.
Kyler Murray's not that good. But yeah, I mean, well, I guess the no concerns.
It turns out we invited a YouTube commenter onto the show.
106. So like, I would still take him behind.
I'm
Puka,
really glad
JSN,
you guys don't
Chase.
have concerns about Kyler because Siegel, every time I
No, I
drafted
have
them,
cons-
like,
Yeah.
I did a draft them last night.
Siegel has Kyler PTSD. He's too close to
Yeah.
him.
I know. Okay, good. I'm glad because he's like the only guy in the Vikings you could actually draft is Kyler because of the mobility and everything. But you can't draft Justin Jefferson. You can't draft anyone else. I'm like, dude, relax. Like, it's not going to be that.
I
bad.
draft this shit out of Justin Jefferson, so I hope that that's wrong.
All right, good. We draft good
They-
players here.
I mean, this is kind of like classic puff piece stuff, but there was an article on The Athletic where they were talking to a bunch of guys from the Cardinals and getting their sense of stuff. One of them said, if I were a Vikings fan, I'd be licking my chops to see how motivated this cat is right now. It's off the charts.
What does this comment say? Keaton Gretch 9 is ass, bro? Like, what are we fucking talking about? Come on, Gretch.
Come on,
that's
Gretch.
JJ McCarthy.
9 is in JJ is ass, bro.
No, believe me, I know that JJ McCarthy
You're
is
just
really
reading
bad.
things about coming and ass, apparently.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, man.
Get your head out of the gutter.
It wasn't the first time.
Anyway,
Couple days in New York and you're into some new stuff.
I
don't know if I'm reading into it or the typo was a Freudian typo or what, but
I think
what you're saying about Kyler stuff is like classic bullshit coach speak, where like they drafted JJ McCarthy in the first rounds. He gets hurt. Sam Darnold looks awesome in the offense. They're for really stupid reasons. They're like, well, our only choice is to go all in with JJ McCarthy. We couldn't possibly have a backup option in case he sucks. And then he absolutely sucks. And then they bring in Kyler Murray. And now if O'Connell could get fired, they fired the GM. If he doesn't make this work, he could get fired straight up. So it would be very, very stupid of him to actually like entertain the JJ McCarthy thing. I think he's being diplomatic. He's like obviously Kyler Murray is going to be the guy we go with because
it's classic.
McCarthy's going to straight up get me fired.
the problem is Kyler Murray might what about the scenario where Kyler Murray also gets him fired?
Like Kyler Murray he's not a great.
If Kyler
option,
Murray gets him fired,
but we're not
deserve to
drafting
get
Jefferson ahead of Chase, so I feel like I'm.
Kyler Murray's
with
not
it.
great, but like Kyler Murray, I'm pretty sure can play NFL quarterback.
Kyler
McCarthy
Murray
can't.
has.
I'm not sure McCarthy should be a backup. That dude.
It sounds
Of
like
current
Kyler was
NFL
pretty-
quarterbacks, he's top 15 in the entire NFL of guys on a roster and EPA per play for his career.
Right. So Kyler was really good in a different NFL, shotgun spread NFL, and famously in college had one of the most efficient passing seasons ever in a shotgun spread Lincoln Riley offense. The entire NFL has shifted since he was last good. This is like the thesis. Like he can't play in the modern NFL.
Even last year, though, he was more efficient than Jacoby Brissett. He had a lot less volume, but he was more efficient last year than the guy he got benched for. And he's
got to be able to go under center and drop back in the pocket and see over his linemen and throw over the middle of the field in the modern NFL.
I mean, that would be nice, but like
I would like to think that if Kevin O'Connell's as good as I've been told he is, and as I honestly believe he is, that he can find ways to mitigate around that deficiency.
Yeah,
even
it's a
though I do
weakness.
think it's a very real deficiency.
It's a real deficiency.
I'm somewhat of a centrist on Kyler. Like I'm not. I think there's very real concerns with him for sure, but I still think he's like infinitely better than JJ McCarthy.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think
you have
I think
YouTube
that
commenter
Kevin
brain if you
O'Connell
can't
should
see it with
find a
Kyler
way
Murray.
to make it
Murray's
work.
a smash at ADP as well. I mean, he's really cheap. He is mobile.
He's
He's
cheap.
got elite weapons. He has the potential for this offense to really be humming. There are probably like if you're talking about like can Kyler Murray finally have Kevin O'Connell win his first playoff game? Like maybe not. It seems actually much more likely that they'll lose in the wild card round to me because Kyler has some serious limitations. But from a fantasy football perspective, with these weapons.
So this has been my
we'll be
take
fine.
since they got Kyler.
Let's calibrate how bad we think Kyler is and how that would affect Jefferson. So, like, let's pretend if Kyler Murray is Bryce Young. I'm stealing that right out of the chat. Kyler Murray is off. Bryce Young is now the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. They keep everything else. Where would you draft Justin Jefferson?
Lower.
I think in the same spot.
I would
Right,
lower
so
Justin
then-
Jefferson. Yes. Oh, I think Bryce Young's
if you're
significantly
comfortable
worse than Kyler.
drafting Jefferson in the same spot with Bryce, then like I'm fine with Kyler.
Right. So the reason I say that mostly, Pat, is I do think I agree with what Jacob was saying about Kevin O'Connell, and I do think that Kevin O'Connell has some real ability to create the situations and the throws and scheme it up, and then obviously these receivers getting open. Like Justin Jefferson got open a ton last year. When you look at Justin Jefferson's numbers, like he had a 2.5 plus yards per out run every year of his career, and then last year was at 1.88, and he didn't lose any targets per out.
That includes the Kirk Cousins Achilles tear year where they're going to like
Josh Dobbs and
Josh
shit.
Dobbs is coming in off the street. Like,
Yep.
Jaron Hall.
When you look at that yards per out run crater by 0.7 of a yard, like more than a half a yard, didn't lose targets per out run, didn't you lose yak or ball in hand. He was still really good in that regard. It was entirely
like the catch rate. It was entirely the converted air yards, the stuff before the catch point. His yards after the catch per reception was actually a career high. He had the highest evasion rate, missed tackles forced per reception of his career. God. He was doing more with the ball in his hand. Yeah, he was like, God, I got to get yards one way or another. He was like trying super hard. And he still earned a really high targets per out and all that stuff, like I'm saying. It was just purely that like throws were skipping at his feet when he was running wide open. And so as far as the Bryce Young, Kyler Murray question, like I genuinely think Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson, they just need a quarterback that can throw to an open receiver.
Yeah.
My concern is, can Kyler actually see that? But I've always thought Kyler was good enough to be like physically to be able to throw the ball accurately when he sees the throw and makes the throw. But there's some stuff with Kyler that's alarming. Like the Trey McBride getting like 10 touchdowns immediately. Like you could never see him in the red zone. I'm convinced.
Fakest bullshit ass. You know what? I actually cannot get into Trey McBride discourse because it makes me too angry.
Trey McBride's a superstar.
I think
Kyler couldn't see him
when I compared him to
the thing that I find frustrating about the Kyler stuff.
Got up and departed.
Kyler was the #1 overall pick, and he was ultimately a bust for the Cardinals. They give him a second contract, so he wasn't like a total bust, but he leaves the Cardinals without much success, and he got benched in his final season. But in that final season, like you look at EPA, he had the same EPA per game as Jalen Hurts, the same as Caleb Williams. He's just under Bo Nix. He was above CJ Stroud, above Baker Mayfield. He's pretty similar to Lamar Jackson last year in EPA per game. Jackson had that weird season, but he did not bottom out. This was not a guy who straight up couldn't play. He's way above guys like Bryce Young, who's never flashed the ceiling that Kyler has. Kyler gets treated almost like he's late career Russell Wilson. He's never played that.
It's YouTube commenter brain, dude. We have a literacy crisis in America. All right. And it's evident about this guy who is objectively fine. He's fine.
He's fine.
I
think he's somewhere in the middle.
He's disappointing.
It's somewhere in the middle because he does put serious limitations on how you run your offense.
Sure.
And I think
that's
not
my problem. Sorry, Kevin. You have to stay up later tonight.
No, but it is a problem.
So statistically,
his in the middle is
his ADOT early in his career when he was really good, 2020, 2021 was over 8, and last year it was 6.4, for example. And that's gone down steadily. He's not able to push the ball vertically as much. He is trying to play in a different NFL with different offenses. I do think there's some concerns, but I don't think Sam Darnold's actually good. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, whatever. But Kevin O'Connell, I gave Kyler Murray career high efficiency in my projection because my receiving weapons feed back into that. And I think Justin Jefferson, what I said about the 2.5 plus yards per out run throughout his career, I think he's still a superstar. I think he's going to be I think stats really matter to him. He's talked about it before. That guy wants to be a Hall of Famer. This is a bounce back year for Justin Jefferson.
They had him out there grinding with McCarthy at the end just to guarantee a 1,000-yard season.
Yeah. And then you have Addison, who, for all his flaws, is a good player. That guy won a Biletnikoff super young. He was a 3-year early declare, was good at multiple colleges, got Kenny Pickett drafted in the first round, who famously Pat always loved and I always hated, and then scored 10 touchdowns.
How about Juwan Jennings as a wide receiver 3? How about Juwan Jennings?
And then Juwan Jennings, and I think T.J. Hawkinson is still a serviceable tight end that goes too late.
I can't. I'm not going to get there with you. On
That's
TJ
fine. He's
Hawkinson.
29 years old. Everyone's convinced that he's 47, but he's healthy and 29, and we're drafting 35-year-olds coming off ACL tears and Achilles tears way higher. But whatever. What'd you say?
Have you seen T.J. Hawkinson run routes? Whatever we just watched with Nabers, T.J. Hawkinson was the exact inverse of that, to the point that I was like, can't draft that guy.
I have not seen the Hawkinson routes, but now I know
why
he goes so late. But the point is, Murray, you can pretty easily project for the best efficiency of his career just by giving the guys that he's throwing to not their 2025 efficiency, but everything they had done prior to that for the most part. And then my point was just going to be that still doesn't get you to Sam Darnold's efficiency.
Great, pull my screen up.
1 year under Kevin O'Connell because he was so good.
Some of the worst. It's some of the worst route running you're ever gonna see.
He's a 29-year-old tight end.
He's a tight end who ran 4.7 at the combine and probably runs.
This has been so silly to me.
Who cares? What do you want to do? Watch Cade Otton run routes? I don't think that.
Yeah, I bet Cade Otton looks like shit too.
Why do you think he has to look like Malik Nabers? He's a white dude.
Do you want to watch Brenton Strange run routes?
Yeah. I think Brenton Strange would probably put on a fucking clinic compared to this.
I really don't. I don't think Brenton Strange would put on a
I want to
clinic.
find a T-Ferg one. I want to find a T-Ferg one.
I
Just
definitely would put on a clilic.
I
T-Ferg
do
would
love
put on
this
an absolute
comment.
clinic running
He's
road
definitely growling is a great comment. That does remind me a little bit of when Zeke was already like way over the hill and people were like, look at this workout video, and he was making all this noise, and I tweeted like, he's like,
This is pretty
because
good
we're getting
too. He runs
sound
like
He
an
effects.
runs like an orc. He
He
does.
runs like an orc is actually
Very
Like,
I might be
That is
back
true.
in now. I honestly, if
TJ
an orc
Orkinson.
at tight end, I might be
the
back.
orcs were a force to be reckoned with, dude. They had power.
Were they? Because I feel like they didn't put up much of a resistance. Like they had a
That's a movie thing.
theoretical-
You got to read the book. They're
No,
much
dude,
more,
They were,
much
they
more
were,
they
the
had-
orcs
resistant.
were
they
better
had
in the
them-
books.
If
The orcs are
Gandalf
better in
doesn't
the
show up,
books.
the orcs are winning. Helm's Deep,
Yeah, but
brother.
Gandalf was always going to show up.
Well, yeah,
That
I mean,
said, on the 8th day, look
the
to the
story
east
where
when the sun
Gandalf's gonna
rises.
show up. But like, what if he hadn't? The orcs
What
win.
just happened to this podcast?
They had a plan. They had a game plan, and the game plan involved Gandalf. Like that's like saying, like, what if this team didn't have a safety on the field?
Wasn't
Why
it
the receiver
unclear
would've been
whether or
open?
not he was going to make it? I thought that was
No,
sort of
he
like,
said,
oh my
look
god,
to
he
the
did
sun on the 8th day in the east, something like that.
it. Oh, you're right. I know. Why couldn't he just be like, I'll be there around noon?
No,
He runs like
wasn't.
my older dog when I mess with him.
Because
Oh,
Dawn was the
Oh,
name.
man.
I don't want to. This I was hoping this would come up again, but I just need to get this comment on the screen from Not So Narrowcast just to see Davis's face. It says there's a possibility that both Kyler and Mahomes are not what they once were at all. Your thoughts on that, Davis?
my thoughts are that a lot of people have a lot of fun in YouTube comments in July, and their lives are going to feel a lot different in September. That's my main takeaway.
It's a good take.
Mahomes is rolling out to his left on his surgically repaired knee 7 months after tearing the ACL in practice. It's so fucking over for the people who've been making fun of him.
The Chiefs dynasty is over and all that stuff. Comments
Yeah, it's
are
over,
just,
dude. It's
they're
over.
absurd, man.
It's over. Has nothing to do with the fact that they've been 32nd, 32nd, and 32nd in explosive run rate the last 3 years. I'm sure. I'm sure having a run game is going to do nothing for them.
People love to rank Patrick Mahomes like 6th on a top 10 quarterback list. They get such a fucking hit out of not putting him top 5.
The
And
ESPN,
you're
ESPN
fucking
NFL
insane.
top 100 had Herbert in the top 10. He was the only quarterback in the top 10 without a playoff win. And you know what? I've really grown because I didn't
Well, they put
send a single
Lamar
tweet
like
about
fucking
it.
60th or some bullshit. It was absurd.
We've jumped the shark. We've jumped the shark as a culture.
Correct. We really have. There's a literacy crisis in America, Gretch.
Speaking of a literacy crisis, I said the 8th day, and I want to apologize to Gandalf. That was wrong. Look to my coming at first light on the 5th day. At dawn, look to the east.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. That was a little bit more clear. Maybe it's just, I was giving Gandalf a little bit too much crap about. He reiterated at dawn, look to the east. That's kind of what I wanted to hear.
East.
But by the way,
My
just you
point
can
is
ignore
they
the
had
first
a game
part.
plan, and it worked.
I'll be at
against
the east
The
at
Orcs.
dawn. Okay.
Can I
they had a
get-
game
can
plan.
Can I
though.
get
They had a game plan.
can I get
I'll
the
give it to
Gretch take before we get out of here? Can I get the Gretch take on
On the
Michael,
two towers.
No, Michael Wilson and Marvin
I
Harrison.
think we know his take on that.
I find these two guys to be the
Spoiling the
hardest.
short view tomorrow.
Gretch reading this comment right now. Gandalf coming in JJ's ass.
That's what I heard when Jacob read the quote. For the
Jacob,
record,
if Gretch looked a little zoned out, that's why he's reading that.
Does anyone want to give a
absurd.
strong take on Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr.?
No, I don't have a strong take on that.
Okay.
At all.
All right,
My
I have-
take right now is that
My take is all bad on the greatest wide receiver prospect
Yeah.
of the last decade over the journeyman guy who did nothing in college.
Okay,
and nothing until the second half of
journeyman,
last
not
season.
fair. He's only ever played
Okay,
for one
that's-
team.
Michael Wilson, not
That's
close.
Technically
is a
true.
great-
Technically
great
true, but
quote.
spiritually,
But
he's a
spiritually, he is a journeyman. Yes, yeah.
we talk
I
about
agree.
drum beats a lot. There's something like happening with Marvin Harrison that's not what we usually mean by a drum beat. It's like just like a dumb beat. I think it's called a dumb beat.
Yes,
It's
it
like
is.
everything on Twitter that he does bad or like
Removed the R. A dumb beat.
it is. It's a dumb beat. It's so fucking stupid. Everything he does from now until the end of the summer that is like possibly able to be criticized is gonna get criticized because people are noticing it gets a lot of traction when you go at Marvin Harrison Jr. and people it gets a lot of engagement. I think we're gonna because I literally just saw him like he dropped a pass on an inside breaking route when he was the only wide receiver playing in 13 personnel. And that's very bearish.
Yeah.
Not the fact that he was on the field in that package, but the fact that he dropped the route. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to settle in and just like, here's what I'll just say to the dumb beat people. If you're going to do this, you have to lower his ADP. Don't be scooping any value on Marvin Harrison. He's a fucking bum. Don't take him.
He has been falling.
I need to be able to get late 7th, early 8th round Marvin Harrison. If you're going to do this, if you're going to subject this to every single thing he says, oh, look at this guy. He doesn't want it. He's in his own head. All this bullshit. Then you're not alled to take him. You're not allowed to take him. You have to let us take him.
I would be Harrison over Wilson, but no strong opinion. But I will say he's been fine for the first 2 years. People think he's been way worse than he was because of where he went and where he's been drafted and where his ADP is at this point, off to 1.6-ish yards per out run seasons is, and then the prospect profile Jacob talked about, it's not weird for guys to take until year 3 or things like that. Last year he was banged up. There's no favors being done to Marvin Harrison's long view profile in the market or really anywhere. I mean, people are convinced he's undraftable. There's a very
I want to go down with the ship, but only at a discount.
There's a very
a discounted ticket to the Titanic.
The question is, do you think this guy can be a first round pick in the future or even a second round pick? And I kind of don't think.
I think he can. If he's 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns this year, we can get him to the 1-2 turn.
By the way, just to be clear, if I'm pulling your comment up, you're not allowed to draft Marvin Harrison anymore. Just so you know, it's a binding contract. If comment comes up, you're not allowed.
My take was going to be, Davis, there's still enough of a gap that even if he doesn't have that, even if a good season only pushes him to the 3rd round or the 4th round where you start getting into, the wide receivers that are a little bit non-elite, right? Whatever. The Chris Olave group. Even if he can only get to there, you can still win pretty big with taking him this year.
I have one additional point to make here on this conversation, which is that I recently relearned this, which is that Michael Wilson's wife is one of the 5 best female soccer players on earth. Yeah. She's she's so good. She's his
kid's gonna be sick to draft in 2040 fantasy football.
I'm putting that in my Devi notes right now. Yeah.
All right.
Iron sharpens iron. Who's Marvin Harrison married
to? There's something to be said. I think maybe it's too small of a sample, but we have seen some of the bigger outside wide receivers take a little bit longer to break out. Not all of them, but some of them have taken a little bit longer to break out and still hit very high ceilings. Like we saw Nico. Now, obviously, a 3rd round player, so it's a different case, but he comes on more year 3, has this massive breakout, hits a really elite ceiling. Pickens, year 3-ish breakout. I mean, I thought it was a real breakout in year 3. The market didn't really price it in, but certainly year 4. Even I don't know if Alec Pierce, it feels unfair to Marvin Harrison to even bring him up, but I do think that there's something to be said that he's
Alec Pierce derogatory.
Alec Pierce derogatory.
To immediately come in and just playing outside at X wide receiver, I think you get less gimmies.
I just lowered Marvin Harrison on that.
Oh my God!
Christian Watson?
Yeah, Watson,
no, he was good as a rookie. I know you had questions about the production, but people got excited.
And I mean, between 2 year 3 receivers, it is very interesting to me. And I get there were some injury excuses that are reasonable for Rome, but it is very interesting to me the way that those 2 guys are talked about, because Marvin Harrison's career yards per run is materially higher than Rome's. I think it's pretty reasonable to say that he's been a better player through 2 years of their respective careers. And the way that the market talks about Rome is just so optimistic, I find, in a lot of places, compared to Marvin Harrison. Thomas. It's this guy's the worst. He's terrible. He's a scrub. And it's almost as though people have a higher outlook for Rome going forward because he was a worse prospect, so they feel less burned. Yep. But it's actually, if I was given 2 players who were even through 2 years,
wise,
I'd say Marvin's been better.
I
would want the better prospect, not the worst prospect.
Yeah.
That was the case I was just trying to say with Harrison in terms of he hasn't been as bad in his first 2 years as people think. They're overcorrecting because they were drafting him at the 1-2 turn as a rookie, and they were still drafting him last year. And now the people that were in on Harrison are out, and the people that were never in on Harrison are obviously not in. And you get this like Kyle Pitts effect where he winds up going even lower than he ever should. Now, Kyle Pitts never necessarily panned that out, but there's no argument for Harrison going behind Odunze and Brian Thomas from the same class when he's a better prospect, and they have not been materially
There is an
better.
argument, and the argument is Jacoby Brissett is a quarterback. I mean, I do think there is.
Okay, fine. Sorry. I exaggerated. You're right. There's an argument, but I would also say on the Brian Thomas comparison, it's very similar, Brian Thomas and Parker Washington, to Marvin Harris and Michael Wilson in my mind. But Brian Thomas also has Jacoby Myers and Travis Hunter, and like Marvin Harrison doesn't have that. They don't have a third receiver. Kendrick Bourne.
Say his name.
Is
Parker
a third
Washington.
I did.
No, you didn't.
Didn't I say Parker Washington? Brian Thomas and Parker Washington.
Can we all just be brave enough to admit Rome's probably not good? Can we just
I've been brave enough to admit that.
Can we just be real and say like Rome is just gonna he's the sacrificial X, like he's just gonna get out of the way and let Burden and Loveland cook?
They're talking up Burden a lot.
I wonder why that is, Pat. I wonder why everyone in the
I'm
organization
revisiting
would be talking
They
about.
seem
I
pretty
wonder.
excited about Burden, man. It makes
I
me
wonder.
nervous. Like
I enjoyed the Rome looked healthy today in individual drills, 0 catches in team drills tweet. Burden was targeted heavily.
Where are you at on Burden? Because he's a tough guy. Like when you were projecting Burden, how did you handle that? Because it's tough. It's like a big jump from
978
last year to
yards.
the potential.
Is Gretch has him for.
The thing about the projections with the Bears that was exciting for me is that I realized that Khalif Raymond's 32 years old, and I didn't really love Xavier Thomas, and like Sam Roush is sweet, but like they're going to use him and Cole Kmet alongside Loveland. They're going to play 22 or not 22, 12 and
22 would be fire.
They could do 22. I guess.
They might do some 22, some 13, and you're going to get Burden and Odunze as the two receivers.
That might be his natural position.
You're 100% getting Burden and Dunze as the two receivers in two receiver sets. Khalif Raymond's not coming out for that. Xavier Thomas is not coming out for that. Like Burden's issues with routes last year are not going to carry over. It's not just they lost DJ Moore, they lost Olamide Zaccheaus too. And like Raymond's been a low-key efficient player for a long time, but he's never been a full-time player. And again, is much older at this stage. Like there's nobody to keep those guys off the field. And so I came in with this like take in the back of my mind, like, yeah, Burden, I've been seeing the ADP on Burden. He's going really high. He's expensive for sure. It's a leap of faith. And then you do the projection and you're like, actually, all the targets have to go to Colston, Loveland, Burden, and Odunze. Like, there's just nowhere else for the targets to go. It's 3 dudes that are going to get 100 plus targets and no one else is going to get 50. And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Pretty fun to
hear. That is what's going to happen.
So I
Any
wound
thoughts,
up
Pat?
pretty stoked on Burden and Loveland. Even more stoked on Loveland because he's cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Burden is the guy I'd have a little bit more faith in a vacuum. So I'm just like, leaving aside the price, but it's been like I'm at 6% Burden now in best ball. So it's not like this big hard fade.
You'll survive.
Yeah. So it's like I'm just having trouble getting to the excitement level of the market. It's not that I'm like, what are we doing? How could you possibly draft this guy?
I do have an umbrage to pick with my friend Ben, which is how could you not be excited about Xavier Thomas converting to the Dexter McCluster role in this offense?
Oh, no, I am. I'm saying in terms of the way that he can cut into volume. No, Xavier Thomas is super fun. The stuff that they're talking about, like there's all the quotes in the offseason, like Poles is like, it's going to be a challenge for him to break through. And like there was some other stuff. They've been emphasizing his return ability a bunch. I'm looking at my notes now. It's about how fast he learns the offense and comes along. These are Coach Speak Index quotes. Shout out to all the great work he does. But yeah, like Ben Johnson has emphasized his 4.2 speed, how unique that is. Obviously used Jameson Williams really effectively, started using that speed horizontally. There's been a lot of talk about him in the backfield as well, which honest to God, like,
if Kyle Monunga is your running back too, you might as fucking well just be like, do it.
If you're using Xavier Thomas in the backfield instead of Luka Burden, I'm going to be
the
pretty annoyed.
commenters love him. That is the MVP of YouTube commenters.
What did he say?
They hate Kyler Murray and they love Kyle Monunga. They know their KM and their KM is not Kyler Murray.
You said Dexter McCluster.
I'm just proud of all the YouTube commenters for being able to remember the password to their YouTube account. They got that post-it note right on the computer. I guess probably
they have the Gmail. They have the Gmail sign in, so they don't even need a password. They can just put their thumb. Yeah.
they just text their kids if they get logged out. I'm logged out of the computer again. Trying to draft more Kyle Monungai.
Password's
I got a Kyle Monungai post.
Didn't work. Try Bigsby.
Oh my
Hey,
God.
hey, do not
No, I like
besmirch
Tank
Tank.
this year. I like Tank this year.
I just to wrap up the Xavier Thomas, the comparison I might make is the way they've used Kevontae Turpin in Dallas the last couple of years. 240 routes last year,
that's
204
Xavier
the year.
Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like he'll run 200 routes and it'll be sick. It'll be, and they'll be
take
explosives.
I
Marvin
take Xavier
Mimsy.
Thomas. Oh.
Yeah, Marvin Mims.
That's like what's the reverse of a dog whistle, or like that's like a Matic whistle. Marvin Mims is like that's the Matic whistle. I'm like, you're telling me I can get 213 routes and 7 carries?
They should do a contest on Underdog that you would max enter, called the dog whistle, and it's like you can only draft players. Their scores only count like if they run 200 or fewer routes. But as soon as they hit over 200 routes for the season, they cancel.
They go
out.
into
It
the
goes to
negatives.
0 points. So you're just trying to draft the most efficient players on under 200 routes.
So there's an alternate version of this contest, because people have asked me this, like, oh, if Underdog had a contest, like, what would you do? And I said your scores would be correlated to your 40 times. So like you get a multiplier. Like if you ran a 4.3, you're in this bracket of multiplier. If you ran a 4.4, and then like if you ran like a 4.7, you like are basically scoring negatives. Like you don't count.
Who's the
Like
number one pick in that 200 and lower route?
That's a good question.
It would be like Cyrus Allen. It would be one of these shitty
Probably
Chiefs.
is.
Yeah,
Marvin
Cyrus
Mims.
Allen's pretty high.
It's
Yeah.
a good one.
Oh, you know what? The Broncos would
Elijah
be the ultimate
Surratt.
team for that. Like, you take Lil Jordan Humphrey, you take Adam Troutman, you take Justin Jolly. You're just
Jolly.
racking up Broncos. Yeah.
I mean, look, it might. I don't think it will be, but it might be Terrence Ferguson. It's possible.
Terrence Ferguson's a very good bet. He's the 101, I think, probably for that.
I think Brennan Thompson has
Brendan
strong
Brennan
value
Thompson
in
Thompson.
that league.
Keandre Lambert-Smith, pretty high.
You could just take any Dolphins because their whole team won't run 200 routes.
They're just not going to run 200 plays. Yeah. Dude, there was I mean, not to
Mario
really
Douglas
derail
is a
us
good
too
one.
hard.
Legitimately a good
Yeah,
one.
Mario Douglas is a good one.
All right, what
Although he's
Charger?
been apparently like an every round player in camp.
Yeah, it's
He's been
weird.
starting.
I don't think that holds, but
Neither do I.
I did
But
see
it's
that.
interesting.
All right, who is Justin Herbert talking about with this quote? He's going to
Brennan
be
Thompson.
very good. We saw it early on that he's skilled, he's fast, he's going to make a lot of plays for us. So I'm really excited for him.
Who is this?
Yeah,
Who was
Brennan Thompson?
Brennan Thompson?
that was Madison Beer's husband speaking about Brennan Thompson.
Oh, give it to me. Oh my God, yeah. Just
Yeah.
bathe in that.
I mean, clip that. That was worse than my other one.
That's fine.
Phrasing.
I said what I said about Brennan Thompson.
I assumed it was about Madison Beers.
That's what I thought was happening
Imagine
for a
beer.
second, and then I realized what was actually happening.
No. I would no interest in home wrecking Justin Herbert's life. I only have eyes for Brennan Thompson. The
Correct.
11th most involved skill player on the Los Angeles Chargers this year.
God, it's so cool that we have like clips. I'm watching Daniel Jones throw to Tyler Warren right now, and like that's just
Nice.
It's good.
By the way,
Football's
Davis,
almost back.
Okay.
Rome says that you cited that incorrectly. It was actually about Charlie Kolar, that quote.
All right, guys.
Ben,
I gotta.
can you sell? We're
I have to
closing down.
leave.
I wanted
you
you to
guys
sell
can.
Pat on
You guys
Loveland,
can keep
but-
going.
See you, Davis. Pete already bounced. He had other content to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm having fun. But we can go whenever.
I want to hear
You're-
you. I want to hear you give
Yeah,
2
we
minutes
can talk
to get
Loveland.
Pat in on Loveland because I've tried for 4 months. I've had no success. I would love you to give it another shot.
Yeah, I mean, you got a age 21 rookie. I think we're a little numb to how tough, obviously, the rookie tight end production is from day one. He was the traditional like scale up routes. He had no more than 50% routes through week 6, then was mostly in the 50s and 60s through week 16, and then 84%, 87%, 89%, 85% before a concussion in their overtime loss was part of why he was down at 60% in the final game. But like Burden never even got up to 80%, right? Like we're talking about like legit getting into like massive route volume. As a 21-year-old rookie tight end, even before that, what we saw was efficiency on the lower routes to earn it. It wasn't like it just came to him. That Bengals game, he had the long touchdown, like almost a walk-off winner late in that game. Ended up with a huge line when he was in a little bit of a smaller role. 4 straight games of double-digit targets to close the season, including that concussion game, 90-plus yards in 3 of those.
include the playoffs, he had a 1.97 yards per out run, played his entire rookie season at 21, turned 22 in April, like a legit young stud. When they drafted Roush, Ryan Pohl said it was important for us to add a Y there, meaning obviously more the blocking tight end role. I do think he's going to play. I do think Kmet's going to play, but the 12 personnel thing, we talk about how the wide receivers get to play in the 2 receiver sets. I think it's super bullish for Loveland that he's going to be out there, because I think when people talk about the 2 receiver sets, they talk about aggregate data, and there are a lot of tight ends in that aggregate data that are not target earners. I don't think people think through it well enough when they're thinking about like, oh, I have to run my routes against Colston Loveland. Like that's a different conversation, or Brock Bowers or whoever. Some of those guys are like legitimately wide receivers. Colston Loveland, though, is going to benefit from not having to run routes against 3 receivers in 11 personnel.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's going to be running routes against Burden and Dunze, and then Kmet and Roush and those guys. And I just think he looked like a stud. The other thing is with how bad JJ McCarthy was last year. I went back to like some of his per route stuff from college, and I was like, so people were saying going into the draft last year that the 2024 Wolverines quarterbacks were like so god awful, and that's why Loveland's final season was bad.
They're
very
unbelievably
bad.
Which is shocking because the 2 years prior they had JJ McCarthy, right? So like, how bad
so
were
just
they?
think about how bad Alex Orji was, and then the 4 other quarterbacks that they played.
But you go back to like his sophomore year, he had a 2.38 yards per route run with JJ McCarthy in their national championship winning season. Like I'm rewriting some of that back in my head where I'm like, I
would
think
be
JJ
careful
McCarthy
a little bit about rewriting because by the standards of college quarterbacks, JJ McCarthy is still pretty good. He's not good, but yeah, I think that's fair to be like what he did in college is even more impressive than we thought. But I don't think it's like a complete like retelling of his prospect profile. I think he probably is very good. My concern with him is just like when you're in this range of the draft, you're really still looking like for that guy to be the huge hit. He's the number 1 on his team typically, and that's the part where I'm like, I have Burden, and I think Burden's like a little bit. I'm also like I have concerns about Burden, being the number 1 on his team, but I see it more. And then you have Rome, who I think is probably not like a super exciting guy, but has been able to hit the ground running right away with terms of running a ton of routes, doing real, like everything we said about Marv. Like this is a difficult assignment. You're playing outside X receiver. It might take you a few years to where you're earning targets at a really high rate. You have that connection with the quarterback. And I think Rome can definitely play. Like at least he's like Rome Odunze level and probably a little bit better than that. But he's not like someone who's not going to be able to earn any targets at all. So the concern I have with Loveland is really like, it feels to me a bit like when we were drafting Sam Laporta, at the 3-4 turn. And it's like, yeah, he's good, but he's not at that elite level where you're getting McBride now falling into the middle of the 3rd a lot. And I can get Bowers in the 2nd. Like those guys are clearly better bets to me because I know McBride is a baller. Bowers looked like he was going to absolutely smash before the knee injury last year. The whole offense is going to be built around him. Like that is, I know they're going to pass a lot less, but the whole passing offense will be Bowers. Like that is a lock. And McBride has been now competing Marvin Harrison and Michael Wilson for targets for the last couple of years. And those guys can play. Like I've seen him show me that he can be the number 1 with other target competition. That's my concern with Loveland. I think he needs to be able to be that kind of player to pay it off. It's not that I'm like convinced he can't be.
No one in fantasy football is willing to do this. Everyone's like, I'm a little ambivalent on Burden, but like Loveland is the smash. I'm more open to Loveland kind of reverting to like a good but not great season.
Loveland
and Burden being the same Brown.
Loveland can be a good player in a good offense and be a bust at this point.
Can I read you guys?
That's my concern.
Can I read you guys his last 4 game logs, starting in week 17?
Crushed down the stretch. I know it.
10 targets, 6 catches, 94 yards and a TD. 13 targets, 10 catches, 91 yards and a TD. 15 targets, 8 catches, 137 yards in a postseason win over the Packers. And then 10 targets, 4 for 56 in a game he left with a concussion. Yeah, that was a good end of the season.
It was a good end of the season, but I think that
Crazy end of the season.
If you did any of that at any point in your rookie season, age 21 rookie tight end, if those were like 4 games or anywhere in your game log, I'm like, I want to draft you every year for the rest of your career. He did that in the last 4 games we saw.
I know it's very exciting, but like you're now taking him in kind of that, maybe not true elite, but certainly like potentially elite tight end zone in best ball, and he's literally like a early 2nd round pick in the FFPC best ball. In main event, I think it's more mid-2nd round.
It's still different than Laporta, because Laporta was pretty much completely dead to surpass Amon-Ra St. Brown.
He was completely dead.
Established himself already as one of the best receivers in the league.
Yeah.
I agree with you that there is a possibility that Burden or Rome, I'm still really struggle with Rome, but like maybe one of those 2 wide receivers becomes a super elite guy that a tight end can't pass. But they are nowhere near what Amon-Ra already was when Laporta was getting drafted, this frothy profile. Like Loveland certainly can be the number 1, and I still think is like pretty clearly the most likely to, because the last time we saw these 3 guys on the field, he was. And I also think he was a better prospect than Laporta. Like, Laporta I loved coming out, but Loveland had a higher share of his team's receiving yards by a wide margin, like peaked at 35% in his final year, was drafted as a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, was a guy that like they're willing to just isolate against DBs, that they were willing to do that in college and were willing to do that in the pros. Like I think he's more of an offensive engine than Laporta's capable of being, just a more dynamic player.
Sure. Well, and so that gets to a point I would make too.
That's fair.
As you were talking about the different offenses, Pat, like one of the things I think that I believe is a really big edge at this point in some circles in fantasy, and I would say in the best ball circle and like in the ship chasing universe potentially, is to intelligently layer in projections. Because like for years we were like, the projection pros are going to come out and tell us, there's all this volume for these players. Let's fade all that. Let's actually focus on the prospect profiles and the analytical profiles and those things. But I do think there's a lot that can be gleaned from the projection process, which is why I still do it to the extent that I do, despite not actually looking at my outputs as like that meaningful. It's more about the actual process. Because I think when you're describing Loveland, what I was trying to say is, so I projected Loveland for 119 targets, Burden for 116, and Odunze for 105. So they're all like really clustered, right? And maybe that's wrong. To a degree where
it's the right way to do it, but how often do we think that they're actually in reality going to cluster like that? Like, isn't the reality that one of them is almost certainly going to mog the other 2?
Well, sure, but the other part of it is
aggregating a range of outcomes.
Yes, to a degree, but the other point I would make is that I don't have a single other guy on their team over 50 targets. I said that earlier and I meant it. Like I have Raymond for 46, I have Komet for 43, I have Swift for 40, Monungai for 31, Xavier Thomas for 25 and 11 carries. And I don't think those are all like wrong by a meaningful margin. And I came out with Loveland at 119 targets, 19 lower than McBride and 20 lower than Bowers, who I have at 139, 138, really high up there. I came out with Loveland pretty close behind McBride because he has the meaningfully higher ADOT. He has the higher yards per target. McBride's catch rate is through the roof every year. He's a very efficient player, but at a lower ADOT, you don't expect the same degree of yards per target. Loveland's is like a yard and a half deeper on average, and the offensive context. So I have to do like a touchdown check at the end, and I didn't want to, but I had to nuke McBride's touchdown rate at the end because I had way too many touchdowns for the Cardinals offense relative to their expected point scoring from the market. The point I would make about what you were saying about Loveland is if Loveland fails, you should be massively in on Burden Odunze. Otherwise, you're saying the Bears are going to meaningfully miss all their market-based stuff. Like that was my takeaway from the projection process was if the Bears are actually the offense that the market thinks they are, and I think they are, which the market has them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th in scoring, and I think they should be 10th in scoring, and I think they have the potential to be top 5 because I think Ben Johnson is really sharp and was able to really elevate, and I think Caleb took some meaningful step forward that he could still build on with a secondary breakout this year. If any of that happens, one of Loveland or Burden or Odunze, and probably 2, and maybe all 3 are going to be values because there's not really a lot else. It's a very concentrated passing game, and they don't have like massive playmakers in the run game either. It's sort of like you're maybe out on Chicago a little, but that would be my sort of that as far as my point about like thinking through it from a projections angle is like, how are you playing the Bears? Are you playing them? Are you out on them?
I do
or
think
are
that
you...
because so the Bears, I believe, are the only team where the entire offense that we draft is off the board before like pick 95. So we've got Manungai comes off right around there. You've got Swift already off. So we got 2 running backs getting drafted. We got the tight end and 2 receivers, and the quarterback is all off the board before the first 100 picks are up. And so it does feel like the Bears are systematically overpriced. I get that because it's so concentrated, like I think that's a good argument. It's so concentrated that even if they are systematically overpriced, like it's gonna go somewhere. And so you don't want to be really underweight the Bears as a whole for that reason. I'm like doing my best to not be like super underweight. I'm at 6% of Doomsday. I'm at 6% Burden. I'm trying to find my way to getting some Bears exposure, but I do think that they all are overpriced, and they are the most expensive team. The Bears are the most expensive team in best ball. So
Are they really?
Yes. Yeah.
On average for all drafted players? Like how do you
more expensive than the Lions?
Yeah, I was going to say the Lions have as many players that are going that high, don't they?
They have Jameson, Amon-Ra. Goff goes way past. I mean,
but I guess
Caleb's included in this too.
But Gibbs is 101.
How are you calculating the most? Because they have 2 of the
they're
first
the only
7
team
picks.
where the whole team's expensive is maybe the better way to put it.
Right, but part of the reason why the whole team is expensive is because we aren't even drafting their wide receiver 3. Right, so like
yeah, but we draft.
That was my thought.
2 running
like
backs
just
and
because
the tight
they don't
end.
have Pacheco and
we're drafting-
Tesla, like
We're drafting 5 skill players and a quarterback in the top 95 picks.
Right, but but there are other teams that were drafting more than 5 skill players. Right?
So the Lions were
part of the
drafting
reason
4
why is
skill
'cause, we
players in the
aren't
top
even-
95 picks, but one of them's the 101 and one of them's the 7.3. I mean, it's 2 of the top 8 players. There's nothing even close to that on the Bears. Like, who's their first player drafted? Burden?
Burden's the first player, unless Loveland.
Burden.
If you have 2 of the top
Loveland,
8
Burden
players
are
and you still have 2 more players in the top 95 picks, and Goff's going 110.
In
like,
terms
that's
of draft
pretty...
capital, what I'm saying is not true. But I mean is like the whole offense. It's not like you can play the Bears through the cheap pieces.
Probably,
That's what I'm trying to get at.
most expensive compared
Totally
to their
get
like
that.
median projection.
Yeah, like, and that's the problem I have with the Bears. Is like, well, this price feels a little bit hot for this player, so I'll just play it through his like less expensive teammate. Nope, that player doesn't exist. So like, I'm trying my best to get some Burden and Rome because I think those are like the most palatable of the two, of the, and a little bit of Manungai, frankly, because he is the cheapest. So, he's somewhat palatable. I'm at 6% on him. I'm trying to get a little bit more Swift. I've probably been a little bit too low there, but like 4% him. But it's like, yeah, I mean, Caleb is probably the worst priced of the guys. He's getting priced like he's a dual threat quarterback when he's not. So, I'm very comfortable actually just fading Caleb, but I want to get some exposure to the weapons. It's more the receivers that I'm trying to play it through to the extent that I
think your concerns are really valid, but the other way I would think about my projection point is this idea of like, do you want to be out on some of these offenses and those things? Because I think one of the things Sean and I have used the phrase of like the haves and the have-nots for the last several years on Stealing Bananas. And we've kind of stopped using it because we use it so much for a while, but there was a stretch like 4 or 5 years ago where it started to become clear that like some of the offenses are just so bad. Like the Raiders last year as an offense were just so much worse than any other offense in so many key categories that it's like they had nothing. Like one of the stats I gave was they had like 5 games where they didn't have 100 team air yards. They didn't, like Geno Smith couldn't even throw the ball down the fucking field last year. It was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. And with the defenses winning again, that's what we're seeing some of. And then we're seeing the offenses and the coaches that actually have answers. And so I do think in fantasy, to a degree, sometimes we get too much of like profile based and comparing relative to being like, there is stuff like I was giving Sean crap in one of our recent episodes where we ended up drafting a bunch of players off bad teams. And I was like, dude, this is not, I mean, I was giving him crap, but like I was also like sort of serious. Like this is not how I think you should build in 2026. It's like we took like Jeremiah Love, or we took McBride. I think we did a Bowers McBride, and then we took like Breece Hall, and so we had a Jed, and then we're taking just one player off every bad team all the way down. We took Quinshon Judkins, so we had a Brown, and it was like, I mean, this team's gonna suck. Like you're not actually there are only some teams in fantasy or in 2026 that are actually gonna matter for fantasy, and there's gonna be other teams that are not going to. There's uncertainty with that.
We can suck the value out of that though, and we have done that. Like we did that with the Jags a couple years ago. We did that with the Texans after CJ Stroud's rookie year. Like we have a history of being like, this is the next one, and
Right.
pricing it like they already did it and already are one of those teams. Now, Ben Johnson's awesome. He's
we miss
really,
some of
really,
these
really
teams all the
sharp.
time. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think some of the have-nots I was just naming might actually be good. I was just saying I
Right.
don't want to build where like I'm taking a bunch on the bottom and expecting all of those offenses to be at least league average or better, which is like you have to miss on the team level in a big way. But no, and then you're saying it the inverse, where we can sometimes predict it too early, and I completely agree with that. The Bears could regress this year. I do agree.
And it's
with
just a
that.
price thing. It's like we're looking like I like the Bears. I think the Bears are exciting, but like, you know, you're looking at like I can get the wide receiver 2 on the Patriots at like 115, right? I can get the Patriots starting tight end at like 150. You know, like there are ways to play other offenses with really good quarterbacks that look to have made like big improvements in the offseason. Like there's other ways that I can play things through good offenses. I mean, not to talk about Stribling again, but like this is one of the reasons that Stribling appeals to me. It's like, hey, I'm getting a 49er. Like that could be cool. You know,
Same with Matthew Golden for me. Like he's going.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Those two teams are projected to score more than the Bears, and the Patriots are not far behind the Bears. I think, I'm absolutely thinking through the Patriots from that
It's honestly
perspective.
probably one of the things in fantasy that we don't spend enough time talking about. Like we spend so much time on a micro level debating roles and like this guy's going to do this and this band of projections. And sometimes it is as simple as like, hey man, maybe you shouldn't go all in on the Jets and the Raiders. And
Omar
the
Cooper's so
like,
cheap though, dude.
Like,
Well,
Omar Cooper,
I know,
Casey,
the Jets are-
Casey
the Jets are
Concepcion,
just
we'd
crazy.
love him as a prospect. You know,
Davis, apparently he just caught a deep ball, so you're about to be drafting the shit out of him in the
Yeah,
end.
Dude, did you guys see-
I did see that deep ball.
I
just saw a clip of Marvin Harrison and Michael Wilson running routes that we have to
Oh,
play
I know.
before we
It's
go.
going.
Oh,
It's
I
going
know.
like
I've been seeing that all
pull-
morning.
I'll
Bring it up.
I'll
Seen
pull
that
it
all
up.
morning.
This is
Yeah.
going.
I'm telling you,
triple
this is the
mega
dumb beat.
giga viral.
The dumb beat is
This is the dumb beat.
Oh
This-
god,
I've
it
seen this all morning.
hit like crack because I didn't see it until after our conversation. But you guys
for
already saw this.
YouTube commenters, this is their this is their Odyssey. They don't even
This is
need
their
to-
Odyssey.
They don't even need to go get the IMAX.
their
ticket.
odyssey is when they lost their password. They gotta go find
Yeah,
that poster.
I
How do
shared
I
it.
make it back to comment on YouTube?
I shared
It's
it.
been 7 years.
You can play the film.
The suitors are in the YouTube
so
comments saying things I
good.
disagree with.
It's so I mean it's so good. It's just it's Marvin Harrison Jr.'s awful reps. Like he looks awful, and Michael Wilson. I mean he does look pretty good, but
He caught that last one, but you got it's like a full minute long,
is-
and he just
Cut that one.
This is the end of
next,
it.
The next one. The next one
Yeah.
is the bad one, and the one after.
That seems fine to me. Maybe
No,
this
we're
is
at
when
the
I'm
end.
like happy
Wait
that,
till it
like,
starts
the
over.
offense
They-
looks
Here we
the
go.
same.
Here we go. Here we go.
they front loaded. No, this
No.
is the end. 1
They
second on the
front-loaded
video.
This is the
Front
Keaton
load
Mitchell
the
shit all
drops.
over again.
Here, start here.
There we
Okay.
go.
Yeah, this is the one I
That's
saw.
where
It
it
got
starts.
clipped.
And
all
then there's
gonna
another
get
one later. This one too.
Okay.
really bad.
As we always,
And
as
then
we
this-
said for months leading up to
It's
this, we
Jover.
were looking forward
this one
to
also.
training camp so that we could
It's
could
so
scout-
Jover. He
we
put
could
on weight. He
scout
can't
routes
get out
on
of his
air.
brakes.
As everyone knows, the signal from training camp is scouting routes on air from Twitter clips.
Correct.
Until we see
This
those
is a
routes
dumb
on
beat.
air,
That's right.
we can't possibly project these players correctly.
But setting aside your sarcasm, I'm 100% less likely to draft Marvin Harrison after seeing this clip.
Listen, guess
Oh
what?
my
You're not allowed to draft him at all. I'm putting you. You're in the box.
You're in the
fine.
dumb, you're in the dumb beat
bros.
box.
I'm fine. I didn't know he was transitioning to tight end this offseason. I thought he was putting on weight to still
Yeah,
be
you know what? He's
movable.
probably a better blocker than Eli Stowers.
No, he's a nepo baby. He won't block. He's not getting his hands dirty.
Dude, he's not a nepo baby like that. His dad. Did you hear him talking about stuff? He's like, I
Oh my
only
god,
look at the
that was the
negatives.
first time I actually got worried about Marvin Harrison. I hated that press.
Look at
was
how
like,
long
why-
it took
why
him
do
to
you-
get out of that break. That out is so bearish. Like, look at it. The throw looks wide. It's because it took him 3 years. You want to talk about an odyssey?
turned
That
like
guy
a
took
cruise
longer
ship
than
on
Matt
that
Damon to get home to get out of that fucking break, dude. That was insane.
Did you hear the press conference of Marvin talking? That was the first thing I actually cared about. I don't care that much. I'm still drafting.
Look at
him. I'm
Michael
not-
Wilson
sounds-
doing that
he
in and out
sounds
route
depressed,
quickly.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
But he
sounds
was-
depressed.
Yeah, like they asked
Well, he
him, like,
said,
they were
"Why
like,
do you wanna look at
they were like, a couple of
negatives?"
your final games, like before you got hurt, like were pretty good. Like, do you take that as a positive going in? He's like, I don't like take any positives. I don't have any positive feelings. I only focus on the negatives.
Dude, that
They're
throw's
like, "Why
not
do
in
you
front
do
of
that?"
him.
And
It took
he
him
literally
so
goes-
long.
He was like, it's my dad.
Because my dad, to be honest. Yeah, probably because
Watch this out route coming up.
It's not
Please
Nepo
watch
Baby,
this
like,
out route.
Gretch, I've seen it 8 times. It's on
This
a
right
loop.
here.
No, this one.
My God, get out of your route, dude.
That
That
is
was
as bad as it gets.
the slant at the beginning was horrible too. And then it looks like the throws are off target. It's because he can't run a route. What is happening? What happened to this guy?
Okay. Well, that was the tape analysis
You've
version,
you've
and
joined the dumb
This
beat.
is as this.
I'm in.
actionable routes on
I'm
air.
gonna
no
play
more
the
Marv.
dumb beat.
You are part of the dumb beat. You're on the bass dumb right now.
I'm in.
Okay.
Putting you on the
I
snare
think
dumb.
there is something to just like
You guys hear that?
You're supposed to use your own head.
why is there never anything good for Marvin Harrison? Why is it always it's just always bad? It's never like we're excited about him. We're gonna it's always just like, yeah, well, we're gonna see.
Dude, people love
I
to
don't-
shit on Marvin Harrison. It's a
I think
pastime.
if you like
it's a Twitter
actually read
pastime.
the quotes from like the coaching staff, I think that they've said plenty of good things about him.
I send that out to my qualitative, and then I wait for
mean,
it to get filtered down
I'll
to me.
do a literature review.
There's nothing that I believe in more than the idea that we would overreact
Chad,
to a
you're not allowed to
couple-
draft Marvin Harrison anymore. Just to be clear, I don't want to see you. on
the
street
idea
drafting
that we
Marvin
would
Harrison.
the idea that we would react to a
Draft will get thrown
couple
out.
preseason clips, a couple routes. I was ragging on Davis, and I didn't even know his position on Neighbors, but the Neighbors gate thing at the softball game 2 months before the season. These things are the most absurd ways to do fantasy football analysis, and at the same time, you can never draft Marvin Harrison again. That's the worst clip I've ever seen.
It is so bad. It's so bad.
Disaster.
I draft some of them, but I don't feel good about it.
I can't tell how serious you are right now.
Chad, we need Chad getting
not
drumsticks and
not.
just doing a solo. Oh Jesus!
It was a tough route.
It was a little
route.
tough. It was a little tough.
I mean, I'm the guy that at the beginning of the show was like, we can't bury Xavier Worthy yet, but we can definitely bury Marvin Harrison. Let's just be
I'm not
clear.
burying Marv at routes on air. I'm not.
Worthy, there's nothing to
gonna
bury
do it.
Worthy about. He played a whole season at 170 pounds with a torn labrum. He's fine. Xavier Worthy's
Is
gonna have
Harmon in
800
on Marvin Harrison? What's
Yeah.
that? Is that in reference? He's in on him?
Emo Cowboy no
He
longer
likes- he
allowed
likes
to draft
Michael Wilson
Marv,
too, but
unless you're
he
kidding,
likes
in
Marv.
which case you are, I guess. I'm gonna assume you're not.
likes
You're not allowed to draft Marv. I made a ruling.
Not allowed. Banned.
Banned.
Yeah.
Banned.
For Marv.
In fact, I tweeted out like one positive thing about Marv, just basically like him playing in 13 personnel and looking fine, and I was like, here's an actually interesting nugget about Marvin Harrison Jr. you won't see on Twitter, and Harmon must have like MHJ tweet alerts on because he retweeted that in 0.1 seconds.
Harmon's in on
I
Marv
think it's-
apparently.
Nice.
Yeah, very. Yeah, we had him on the
I
show.
love
he was in on Marv.
huge anus. Huge anus. His quote here. If you could please remove him from my sidekick, I would pay extra.
Oh, I definitely believe that Hugh Janus is part of the dumb beat for sure.
It's custom ranks, but it just says like normal but no Marv, please. It's like this file doesn't upload.
Yeah.
Sorry. Normal but without Marv. Yeah, I think there's going to be some people IKBing off Marv today, but we're not gonna
Yeah, I'm
lower
excited to see
Marv.
how late
We're
I
not
can
gonna
go.
lower Marv on
Which
routes on
probably
air.
means that I'm going to draft Marvin Harrison 19 times today because I just rifle through and make my picks based off my ranks. So I probably there's going to be some pick 77 Marvin Harrison Jr. in my future.
Yeah, here we go.
See, this is what I want. Like, if we're gonna do this, then he's got to be cheaper. He's got to be cheaper. You know, if I have to deal with routes on air scout, I can roll my eyes at normal scouting
going behind Quinn Johnson
when there's
because
defenders.
That would be like so unbelievable to me. Is that
I
going
mean,
to
he's
happen?
going-
Is he going to get passed by QJ?
Please, man, please.
Well, that would be hilarious.
Please.
He's going ahead of
It's close,
Makai
dude.
Lemon.
It's
Who's,
like they're like 4 spots apart, Gretch. Like,
yeah. Quentin Johnson needs to go lower. DK Metcalf needs to go higher. He's behind.
yeah,
Quentin
Metcalf
Johnson.
is going behind QJ. It's
That's
like
absurd.
banana world.
That's patently absurd. But Kyle Lemon, best rookie in the class.
Oh, are you in on Lemon?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's
the
been
ETR guys didn't get you. They didn't tell you. I'm projected for 43 targets. So
No.
I don't know what they actually have, but they don't draft them. We do.
Oh yeah, I was
Oh.
excited to hear your Lemon conversation. That was a good one because
I
I knew
went
they've
hard
been
on
like
Lemon.
crazy low
Hell
on
yeah.
him. I've been
Dude,
drafting crap on Lemon.
everything in the profile is so good. I mean, and then like the quotes are what you would think for a guy whose profile is good in all the ways. Like it was what I was talking about with Nabers earlier. Like he can earn volume in all the depths. He's got really good ball in hand. Like that was one of my concerns with Tate when we talked about him during the draft was like, is it too much like pre-catch point because there's not a lot post-catch point. You don't have to worry about that with Lemon, and I like that. I like that as a floor to what, various situations he'll be in, that there will be yardage efficiency because he can separate, he can earn volume, he can catch very well, and he can run after the catch. He's a physical player. Like Roseman had this quote like in Coach Speak Index that I'm going to summarize because I just summarized it because it was so long and so positive, but he was like, there's a lot to like. He plays in the slot, he plays outside, he beats man, creates separation. He's a physical player. He's good with the ball in his hands. He's got good hands. He's good against zone. He's got good instincts. It's like you're literally naming everything that goes into being a wide receiver one at a time and saying, these are all the things that we really like about him. And then you have the really great production profile. 3-year early declare, 3+ yards per out run, final 2 years, huge targets per out, also huge yards per target. The evasion's good. The yak's good. Everything's good. Yards per target over 10 all 3 years, even as a small sample freshman. Like the targets per out run over 26.5%, both the final 2 years. He's earning the volume. There's nothing in the that's imbalanced. I'm like, whatever situation this guy's in, I expect him to produce. I mean, I ended up saying I kind of don't understand how there was even a debate whether he was the best wide receiver in the class. That he was just like, and I'm always wrong on the prospect stuff. I like to make my really big bold claims because it's not the thing that I'm actually like that deep into the weeds on. But I think Mekhi Lemon is like absurdly more fun on paper than Tate.
Lemon and Tyson are just better than Tate, bro. I don't care.
And Lemon I watched them too, and I'm like, Lemon looks better to me. But again, I'm terrible at the prospect stuff. So don't listen to me.
I'm a Tate guy, but I like all three. And I think
I like all three.
Beautiful thing is
I
that
had Tate ranked third pre-draft. I don't know. I'm a bit of a slave to draft capital. So like when a guy goes fourth overall, I'm going to rank him ahead of the guy going 20th because I'm a coward. But I agree with you pre-draft at least.
I mean, it's like the thing with Lemon is that you're now getting him easily pretty much every time you want in the 7th rounds, sometimes in the 8th. I passed him on in pros versus Joes. I didn't leave myself enough spots for receiver. I had to like do other stuff. And so I ended up passing on Lemon, I think in like the 9th round, and was like, this feels awful. Like, what am I doing? Do I know how to draft anymore? Like, but he got one pick away from me in the 10th, I think, coming back. Like he is in a price like it's priced like people think he's a Jayden Reed type or something, like, or Josh Downs. Like he is an inside outside player. Like his closest comp for me was JSN. He probably plays best in the slot, but he can play outside. He can win deep. He actually had the highest percent of his yards on 20+ targets over his college career. He can earn targets shallowly. His profile is both very likely to be good at the NFL level in terms of real life football as a first-round pick who was highly productive in his 3rd season at USC. And he's very fantasy friendly. He plays inside out. He earns targets shallow, and he's good after the catch. And he's not just a shallow target earner. He can earn targets at all depths. Like, this is the type of profile that straight up wins leagues. And he's available.
There's no red flag.
It makes no sense. He's got a clear path to playing time.
FFPC especially, his price, and I'll throw out Casey Concepcion's price too, because I'm a huge fan of his. These are like 2 of the best priced rookies I think we've gotten in years. We've had a brutal run the last couple of years of like being annoyed that all of our favorite rookies are getting priced up, and I think we should take advantage that the market is giving us.
That's what I'm doing, man.
Again, and we should draft them as frequently as humanly possible. Like, we have 2 first rounders with really good production profiles. I think Lemons is a lot better. He's priced up more compared to KC in best ball stuff. But like, I think both these guys are ridiculous values. And like, I'd be happy having like nearly 100% exposure to them at the RFFPC price.
Yeah, it's priced like Mekhi Lemon's quarterback's not one of the 25 best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Look, nobody hates Jalen Hurts more than I do. I've said go draft this guy at every
why
team.
is Devonta Smith going? I got through the projection and I was like, I mean, they added Mekhi Lemon, who looks really good. They added, I mean, we can hate on Eli Stowers, whatever, but like they still have Dallas Goedert. I know they lost AJ Brown, but you got to be really confident Devonta Smith's about to have a career season because there are still volume concerns. Is the thing. There are still past volume concerns.
Yeah.
And so it's like I have a hard time with Devonta Smith at his price.
This is my favorite spot, right? Where you get, and we don't get a lot of these, and I'm basically trying to berate the market into giving me more on the Marvin Harrison stuff. But like, we don't get a lot of spots where the market is kind of talking up a certain angle, and then the ADPs perfectly reflect it. And the market here thinks AJ Brown left, Devontae Smith is an alpha, and these other guys don't really matter. And almost because Devontae Smith is an alpha and there's not a ton else interesting in this offense, Jalen Hurts is also really cheap. You can get Hurts stacked with Lemon, starting with Hurts in the 7th, get Lemon in the 8th. You can tack on Stowers for free. You can tack on Goddard, who's pretty cheap too. You can tack on Wicks, who's basic, not completely free, but close in I think helpful for best ball. So like the whole non-Devontae Smith offense is really cheap.
Yeah, like
because everyone's
Hurts
playing it through Devontae
good.
Smith 30% plus target share, and it's like I don't think that happens. I don't think
It
he's
doesn't,
really that
it doesn't
type of
have
player.
to happen, that's for sure. And it's the market's playing it to your point, like it's a lock. And I'm like, I don't see that as a certainty.
And I've taken some Smith because I think he is a good player, but I'm at like 2%.
sure.
It's not like a 0%, but it's it's close. I don't have a lot of Smith. I'm hoping
He's
it's not
certainly
correct.
in
The tough part
position
with
to have
Smith
a
is to me,
career
he goes
season.
at the
Like
front
there's
of a tier. Like I think he's uncomfortably priced.
Yes.
Like in terms of his actual, like the number beside his ADP, I think is wrong. But I don't really know how many players going behind him I think should be going ahead of him. I just think it's like a tough spot in drafts. Like who going behind him do you think is a clearly better pick?
a ton of guys.
Which guys?
I don't necessarily
Neighbors.
love Olave. I'll take
Neighbor,
Zay Flowers over
neighbors. Yeah.
Neighbors.
Okay,
I'll take Zay Flowers over him.
That was a cheap one.
I do have Olave ahead of him. I think they're going quite a bit later, but all of McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, and Tedero McMillan are number ones that I actually felt more comfortable with their number one target shares. And like they have similar
McLaurin, Tedero
concerns.
McMillan, and who?
McLaurin?
And Garrett Wilson.
And Garrett Wilson. Yeah.
They're all going quite a bit later, but I actually projected all of them for more than Devonta Smith, which I don't know. Like, again, this is one of these things where like my projections aren't the only thing that I care about, but I came out the other end, like more pass volume in those offenses other than maybe the McMillan one. Feel more confident in McMillan's ability to really earn a massive target share. Devonta Smith's got to take a step forward. He's never really earned a massive target share to this point. I do think he's in position to do that, and I am bullish on him having a career season, but it's like how much better can he actually be? Pete's back.
I literally just did an entire hour and a half show and came back, and you guys are still live. I went to like pull the audio for the podcast feed and said you were still live. What the hell is going on?
You thought we were done, brother?
We're talking about Devonta Smith at this point. We've covered some ground.
The show really just kind of kept cruising right along.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Did we figure out what other outliers to chase, or we fully moved on from that?
Oh, we've just kind of gone to different
just,
topics.
you
We
know,
watched
we're-
the Marvin Harrison Jr. film
Yeah.
for a while.
We did watch the Marvin Harrison Jr. film.
Where are we at?
That's an outlier for ship chasing. Not a lot of
I was
film
gonna
ones.
say
Gretch is now out.
outlier derogatory.
Who am I out on?
Marvin Harrison after watched the practice routes.
So yeah, Pete, I just gave a long thing that people who watch film and change their ranks, watch a couple of routes in July and change their ranks in a meaningful way are some of the worst in the entire industry, and also Marvin Harrison Jr. is undraftable ever again.
I also
What
have
about-
a list. I have a list of usernames of drafters who are no longer allowed to draft Marvin Harrison that I'm asking if you can pass along to Numi, because we need the drafts thrown out if they.
You got to
if they break those
remove him.
rules.
You got to remove him
right
from the player
it's true.
pool.
If you're gonna subject this to ridiculous Twitter slop hating on Marvin Harrison Jr., you can't draft him anywhere close to his ADP. You have to
Gretch, let me know if you're going to do
to
any slow drafts this year, because if
Gladly won't be
you're not
drafting
allowed
any
to do
Marvin Harrison.
Gretch, what about your disdain for people who change their opinion on a player because of a 5,000 word Substack article? Is that okay?
No, that's
Usually
that's
pro,
my
yeah,
entire
that's kinda your whole
family.
thing.
That's my entire. That's how it feeds my family.
That's the wheelhouse. Is there anyone else to argue about?
Surely, but we got to save something.
I mean, we could probably pull up the Marvin Harrison clip and see if he's ever gotten out of that out route. I mean, I think he's still chopping his feet trying to get out of that route.
Well, because the rhetoric, what was it? Scott Barrett yesterday was posting the clips of him at the podium and stuff, and the talk was that his confidence is just. You already covered that, all right?
Self-talk.
Good.
Yeah,
okay.
He doesn't focus
I
on the
didn't even
positives.
take it as
He
his
focuses
confidence
on the
was-
negatives, and
to me,
his dad has reminded him to only focus on the negatives.
Right.
I didn't listen to that. I saw it. I didn't listen to it. It doesn't
backslide.
seem relevant.
It was
The
illuminating.
fact that he
for,
can't
like,
get out of a
him.
break seems relevant. I would like to
Right.
see him be able to break.
I think it's relevant that he said, I never focus on anything positive. I only focus on the negatives. And then they were like, why is that? And he was like, because of my dad and how he raised me. Like that seems bad.
Yeah, no, that sounds terrible.
Also, I mean, maybe that's why his dad.
Now I'm
became
back
a
in on Marvin Harrison. God, I just want the guy to be loved. This is tough.
I do too.
By the way,
but like
AJ
it's tough,
Brown
man. He had a,
and
he had a
Mike
Hall
Evans
of Fame
apparently
murderer
look
for a
cooked.
father.
So there's that. AJ Brown's overrated now.
Oh, we
because
haven't
of,
talked about the AJ Brown dumb beat. That's another good dumb beat.
That is a good dumb beat.
That is a good dumb beat. Oh, I coined dumb beat, Pete.
I like
it's
that.
a drum beat, but it's dumb.
All right, let me add it to my best ball bros note here.
The dumb beat.
Greg,
Instead of banging on the table, you use your head.
Oh, Gretch,
That's
you've
Have
the
the
AJ
Rams
Brown
have
dumb
the
beat?
Rams not started training camp? I
want to hear the AJ Brown dumb beat.
Oh, it's just that they
I'd say
on
he's bad.
passes targeted to AJ Brown so far, Drake May has been 1 of 7 for 4 yards and an interception, no touchdowns. And all of his deep throws to Kayshon Boutte, those are being completed. The ones to AJ Brown, they're not being completed. You can't draft AJ Brown; he's completely washed. And Kayshon Boutte is the Patriots wide receiver 1.
Nice. All right.
Yes.
He's not even playing in apparently 3 wide receiver sets with the ones right now.
No, he's
Kayshon
rotating
Boutte?
into the wide
Douglas.
receiver 4, but he's the wide
Douglas,
receiver 1.
yeah.
I was gonna be concerned about, well, not concerned about any of the AJ Brown stuff, but to hear that it was a sample of 6 targets so far, it's a bit. I may have to respond. That's
Guys,
dumber than I thought the dumb beat was gonna be. That's really fucking stupid.
Spin zone. That is great for all of our job security. That people care about a 6 target sample size.
I've seen
quite good.
3 I've seen 3 tweets on my For You page with people victory lapping an AJ Brown fade. Straight up.
Oh my God. No.
Straight up. I'm
This
not
is
even
actually like
buddy,
this
I'm
is
not
this is the
kidding.
most aggravating time of year is the July and August.
Wait until week
relapse
2, man.
are actually like, and every year I'm always like, I just need to find a way to like unclench myself from this because it drives me crazy every year, and I just need to approach it with a better mindset. I need to not be a Marvin Harrison Jr. about this, and then like instantly.
Are you blaming your dad
I
right now?
wake up this morning, I see the Pearsall news, and it's like, you know, in my mind, it's like 700 little like Pat Corains, but like dumber and on YouTube, just being like, capitulate, and it's just like, oh, it's the worst. It's the
Well,
worst.
shit, man. I'm sorry. I'm part of this in your head.
Who
Yeah, you know
is
what?
going to be the first person to screenshot their advance rate? That's where I'm already to there. I'm already like, are we going to get
won't be
Wednesday
you.
night? It's not well. Actually, Peter, you're forgetting the first game of the season that Terrence Ferguson plays. It might be me. It very well might be me.
It's gonna be you. What do you mean?
There's FFPC take a peek, and there's Terrence Ferguson exposure screenshot.
It's like one catch. It's like mid first quarter. I'm looking at my feed, and it's Davis's victory lap.
If Terrence Ferguson catches the first pass of the game, Davis can instantly screenshot his like 67% advance rate.
No, so yeah,
It'll be like 40.
It'll be like 40.
Davis. So
There's
that
some
reminds
Jarquez
me.
Hunter in there.
You know who showed up in my mentions yesterday? Who you mentioned, I think, on the show last week? Certified ball knower.
CBK?
So I did a tweet about the Boutte thing, and I was like, this Boutte hype train is clearly a psyop orchestrated by the front office in conjunction with a cabal of compromised beat reporters, all in an effort to juice his trade value. They'll have him at the podium with Vrabel's puppy by the end of the week. And CBK replies, just tell me you have heavy Romeo Dobbs bags. I was coping through it with that tweet. With my
See,
heavy
that's how I know
Dobbs bag.
CBK doesn't watch enough because he needs to know you only have like 87 completed drafts right now.
Yeah.
I got owned by CVK.
Yeah.
Aggressively.
That is actually the worst part of the summer stuff. Is anytime you ever have like a take about a piece of news, you'll always get 3 replies being like, "I guess that just means you have bags of this guy and you're coping."
Let me tell you. I will say.
Oh, bag defending.
Well, what are the Chris Rodriguez Jr. bag defenders doing? As Byshell Tootin was the MVP of day 1 of Jacksonville Jaguars camp. Where are they? Where are Chris
I'll tell you
Rodriguez?
where they are.
First they came for the Chris Rodriguez
every other
Jr.
post.
bag defenders, and I said nothing because I don't give a fuck about Chris Rodriguez Jr.
Well, the Chris Rodriguez Jr. bag. Here's the deal. They actually don't have a password. They do not have YouTube. They have not found this human invention yet. They've not made their way here.
If next JCM is named to the
They're
MVP
faxing in
camp and they come
their
for the
pick
Rashad
of
White
Chris Rodriguez. That's why he's so
tag
late.
defenders, then I will need someone to say something on
Gre-
my behalf.
Gretch, have you done a when you were doing all your travels? Did you load up a ton of slow drafts?
I didn't. I pretty much gave up on slow drafts. I did a few last month, but man, I mean, the biggest reason is I don't hate him or anything, but I guess I do hate him because you're just tied to like constantly making picks for 2 weeks or whatever, and I'm trying to work. But the biggest issue is it's pretty much impossible to get through a slow draft for me, and especially when I have a bunch of them going on at once and engage every time I need to with each of the individual drafts and like build a coherent team. Like, you can do in a fast draft, what players you've already drafted and you're stacking them all together and everything. Because there's going to be some point where I've been drinking and I need to make some picks, or I'm busy, or I'm doing this or I'm doing that. And, I'm an auto draft and whatever. And then like,
Sounds
even
like
if
you
it's
need
just
a kickstand.
even if it's just a few misses in the whole draft,
It tilts you too much.
and it changes the build so much. It's like, man, if I could have had good picks here. But when I was on my
But you
trip, I
actually
did a
have the
few
kickstand
fasts.
because you have a comp sub to leg up, so it's included in the sub now.
I do. I can use
there
that.
you
I do I did a few fasts just from my phone, like in airports on my trip, because obviously, like, we love drafting, like it's super fun. But that's the thing I've talked about before is like it's always hard for me when I'm traveling to find the time to draft because I'm doing shit when I'm traveling. Like I want my house to be in a legal state because I have plenty of times where I'm like on the shitter and I can draft a team, or like doing whatever, and I'm just wasting time at home. But when I'm actually in a different state, I'm doing stuff. It's hard to find time to draft. Anyway, I did a few drafts, but.
You sound
No
like
slows.
a reformed drug dealer. I want my house to be in a legal state going forward. I need to put these illegal ways behind me.
I
trying
gotta
to find
say,
ways.
the as we get closer to the season, Numi just released 3 new contests today, and I just registered for a bunch of slows. Like the concept of winning a tournament, I mean, obviously it would be great. I'd love to win. I'd love the money. But the idea of getting to next summer and being like, oh, yeah, I could do a couple drafts, I'll stream, whatever. But like the idea of not drafting thousands and thousands of teams feels so freeing.
Cappuccino, Davis. Fucking cap.
Peter, don't get me wrong. I will still draft more teams than you if I win. That is definitely true. I'm at over 1,600 completed drafts right now.
Dude,
today.
how do you get through life?
Yeah, that's crazy.
He went on a 4-week vacation. There was plenty of time to
Because
draft.
like, the amount of slows and stuff that you guys do, I actually can't comprehend it. Like I do 50 in the slow puppies and stuff, and it already like ruins my life. How you guys are in 200-300 slow drafts. I used to think it was a thing where I'm like, oh, I just can't do it at that volume because I have to work a law job. But that's the only thing. And now I don't. Like now I have the same setup as you, except I have way more time on my hands because I don't have a kid. And I still can't like find a way to get through more than 50 slow drafts.
I'm at 1,215
without
completed drafts since the NFL draft on Underdog.
You won $2 million. You don't have to do this.
Right.
I won $2 million
That's
so
why-
I could do this.
Yeah.
That really
Sicko.
is a snake eating its own tail. You do 2,000 drafts so you can win $1 million and not have to do it. And
How
then
many
you win
fast
it so
drafts do
can't
you draft
continue
a
to draft.
day? And how many slows are you in at a given moment?
Well, so I feel very, very
Between all
good about my
platforms.
slow drafts this summer because I peaked at around 500 slows. That ended up being too much. And concurrent. I was in 500. Like
500 concurrent slow
I
drafts.
literally I said I'm in 500 drafts, but 18 of them are full. So then I went and entered 18 more
18
drafts to get up to 518 to actually be in 500 drafts where I needed to still make picks.
Did you sleep? Like, how did you?
So what I do, I wake up in the morning. I think Pacific time might help in this case. I'm not sure, but because I remember being more of a pain
being
on
on
East
Mountain
Coast.
Time. So on Mountain Time, Corinne, I realized this. Yes, it is the easiest time zone.
Pacific makes
to,
it easier. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Because so I
easy
wake up in the
enough
morning
for 500.
and I put in a bunch of picks. Ideally, I get to where
When
I'm.
you say a bunch, what's a bunch? Like 170, like on an average morning?
More like 90. More like 90.
How
When I
does
was
that
at the
not
peak.
take you hours?
I have the sidekick, so I'm throwing in. I peruse what I've got going on, but I'm using the sidekick to really help narrow down the decisions, and often I'll just take the top guys. So I do that, and then I stop in kind of throughout the day. Like right now, I'm on the clock in some drafts, but none any earlier than 5 hours.
I was gonna say I've made about 150 picks while we've been on this stream.
Yeah, because I have the sidekick going too. So I'll just there's a little break in the action. I'll throw in a few picks, and then at night, and this one's the one that's more of a pain because it's like before I go to bed, I have to get everything out of the queue.
Yep.
But the nice thing is this is where Pacific time helps out. You get that 10-hour clock late in the afternoon. So there's like a period where if you can just get everything to where you have like the 9-10 hours left, then that's just for you before you go to bed. And you can do it really kind of in 3 big sets.
But so I'm a morning
Maybe
person.
having a kid would help me because I would be home more at night. Because like the thing that sucks is like it's like when my day is going as planned, it's easy. But then it's like sometimes I'm out at the bar.
Is that really normal? Keep it up.
And like sometimes it's just like I'm out. Like I go over to my friend's place at 2, and I'm drinking until 1. And like at some point in that, like, am I gonna go to the bathroom and be like, "Sorry, guy, I have to do 45 minutes of slow drafts."
This is what I was talking about because my kids are older. I could see this.
Shamrock.
I could see this when I had younger kids, but my kids are older, and so I've gotten more into actually going and doing these things and being out of the house because I'm not. They don't need to be like cleaned overnight and things. Like they're functioning humans. So like. Anyway, Pat, to your point, like that thing about pushing it to the end of the night, I was doing the same thing the last several years when I would do it. But I mean, I did as many as I think 100.
I just took Greg Dulcich, by the way, in a slow draft.
Nice. I did as many as 100, hated it, and pushed back to like 50 as my number or 40 as like my max, and that's still a lot. But it was more manageable. But I would push them all towards the night thing. But I'm a morning person. I get up early and I work and I like to write in the morning and stuff. And when I was doing the slows, I wouldn't mind waking up and having a fresh mind and having my coffee and doing all my picks. The problem was when I did have a particularly busy day, like if I did spend a lot of time with my kids and stuff, and then I'm just tired at the end of the day, I want to go to bed. I want to wind down. The idea of like going to my computer, sitting down, even if I have the sidekick, and working through that many picks is like, it makes me want to just blow my freaking brains out. I mean, it's absurd.
It's too. So 500, to be clear, was too many. That's when I was like, all right, I'm kind of feeling out.
No, dude.
I think 500 was too many for me. The sweet spot's somewhere around 400 if you're really trying to get volume in. But what I've done is I let them fall down. So like right now, I'm in 134 because we're going to Austin this weekend. So I haven't entered any new slow drafts for like a couple weeks, maybe 10 days. And my plan is that I'm just gonna, when we get done with Austin, I'm gonna just enter a bunch more.
Well, Corinne, I have some very bad news for you about that, which is that
Go ahead.
I can't believe that I'm the one that has to tell you this and put the hand on the shoulder.
Clocks?
The clocks. They're coming so much quicker than you realize, brother.
When's the last day to enter? I guess Dubner's usually been on this, right?
Dude,
I referenced his thing and I timed all my eliminator slow draft pacings to make sure I'm done with my slow drafts when that.
When is the last week where you can
Pat,
count on?
I can tell you this. I
Like
entered a
7th
bunch
or
of
8th.
slows last year in
7th or
Miami,
8th?
and I hit the clocks on those slows.
Oh no!
But here's the one thing: we
It was
do
the
have
same
like
weekend.
an extra week cushion this year because the
Okay.
later.
Okay.
we do start a little bit.
Okay,
later.
so then my plan should work, which is basically as soon as Austin's done, I'm piling in the rest of my slows and get back up to
Yes.
kind of the 500, probably 400-ish mark.
So right now I am only in about 300, but 100 of those are EPL best ball slows because they just released the new EPL. So I'm doing cross sport. So when I go to do my next pick, I don't even know. I mean, I'm in this
sport.
Like, I don't even know who's going to be in the queue when I come up.
All right, chat. All right, everyone who told me not normal, that you got now you got to go with Dave.
Like, I don't know if I'm taking Xavier Worthy or Pedro Neto, buddy. You know, only time will tell.
But it's gonna be one of them.
It's gonna be.
You have a sidekick for the EPL?
Yes, yeah. I've been building it. Me and Claude have been working on this.
What are you gonna name it?
My computer's gonna die, and I can't find my my
The corner kick
doesn't need the same port as my mic, so I'm calling it at the 3-hour mark.
Audio.
Yeah.
Jacob.
I have to go again for
Yeah.
the second time.
Okay.
I gotta eat some food.
All right. I gotta eat some food too.
Okay. All right.
All right,
We
we
got another
appreciate
show
you.
in 30 minutes.
Gretch, we love you. Check out Stealing Signals. Check out the Longview podcast. We'll get the links down in the show notes. And to all the chasers that we're going to see in Austin this weekend, looking forward to it. We'll be back next week for our usual programming. Peace.